Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon experiment. My name is Emanuel Livingston. I'm with you to about 5 o'clock. About 5 o'clock. I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm having a good day. For some reason, I feel disconnected today. And I don't know what it is. But for some reason, I feel disconnected. Please say hello to me. Let me know that you're out there watching and everything. I feel disconnected. I don't know why. All right, let me get to it. Lewis Talbert, good afternoon, Lewis. First out the gate, Robert Willis in the house. What's up, Robert Willis? Anthony Prosser, he says one. Well, you were the first on Facebook. Erica Hummins out there in Reading, good afternoon. And wrapping up the top five, Andrea Bustle. She's the second on Facebook, but she's the fifth overall. Thank you guys for supporting me, showing up, and, just really, I know what it is. I'm checking in to see what this Ian talking about before I leave. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't talking about something that I want to talk about, if the energy ain't right, I'm out. And I respect that. But yeah, I'm convinced that the YouTube just gets it out there faster. Because again, 3 of the top 5 is on YouTube. And then the sixth one, Drea, also on YouTube. Good afternoon, Drea, representing Sycamore Township. LaDonna in the house. LaDonna, good afternoon, LaDonna. Good afternoon. We got, I'm not saying all that stuff that you said, LaDonna. We got Pamela Kinney. Good afternoon, Pamela, representing North Avondale. Regina Denson Griffin out there in Madisonville. Good afternoon, Regina. Good afternoon. Daryl says, don't close the door. I'm here. All right. Daryl, appreciate you. Andrea Bustle out there in Gulf Manor. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon. David Martin, representing Hebron. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Veronica Burdine. I think it's Burdine. Representing College Hill. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's see. That's it so far. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for kicking it with me. Y'all know I got to tell y'all a little quickie about yesterday. Of course, I wasn't on. I'm normally not on Mondays anyway. So when I had the opportunity to do something with my daughter and my granddaughter, I jumped at it. My daughter contacted me, and my daughter said, I want to go to Cedar Point because, we got season passes and we got the all-park option. So she said she wanted to go to Cedar Point. I've been really wanting to go to Cedar Point for a long time. But I just never wanted to make a 4-hour drive or 3.5-hour drive or whatever it ends up being, to do it. But, my daughter, my granddaughter, they wanted to go to Cedar Point. So, all right, we got up, or they got here at like 6 o'clock in the morning. We headed out to Cedar Point. I said I want to be there when it opened. Well, they were supposed to get here at 6. They didn't get here till like 6:15-ish. And then, because I knew they was going to be late, I delayed it a little bit. So we ended up leaving around 6:30. And, of course, I drove because I think I'm one of the best drivers out. I think I'm one of the best drivers going. And then my daughter kept saying, do you not trust me to drive? A little bit of me was like, you done had a couple accidents. You know what I'm saying? You drive a little fast for me. Why you don't think ahead when you want to do something? But no, she's a good driver. But I just trust me to drive. If I could fly a plane, I would tell the pilot, like, bro, just move. Let me fly. I mean, when I'm flying, I ain't got no choice but to trust the pilot. But if my life is on the line, I would rather my life be in my own hands. So anytime, if you're going on a road trip with me, chances are I'm driving. I want to be the one driving. That's just how I'm a drive until I can't drive no more. And then somebody else can drive. That's just how I go. That's just how I do. So anyway, I drive up there. We get there, walk in. Let me tell y'all, if you've never been to Cedar Point, I feel like I'm spoiled with Kings Island. I go to Kings Island a lot. Me and the little baby would just go up there, ride a couple roller coasters, and come home. She always want to go in the water park. I don't want to go in the water park. The little baby loves swimming. But walking into Cedar Point, man, it's not amazing. It's not amazing. It's underwhelming, to say the least. And the layout is not great. It was so hard for me to find the entrance to almost any of the roller coasters. Like, you see the roller coaster, there's the roller coaster. Let's go to the roller coaster. And you just walking and walking and walking, and you're like, oh, I'm on the back end of the roller coaster. I got to go all the way back where I came from and then go another way to get to, hopefully, the entrance of that roller coaster. It's if you don't know what you're doing, it's fairly difficult to navigate. In fact, I still don't know where the entrance to Millennium Force is. It was closed yesterday. I still don't know where the entrance to Millennium Force is. But I went up there really with one goal. I wanted to ride Steel Vengeance. I've heard so much about. Now, if you're not a roller coaster person, you're probably tuning me out now. I'm not going to go on too long. But I wanted to ride Steel Vengeance. In case you're not aware, Steel Vengeance is a roller coaster. I forget what it was before it was Steel Vengeance, but it was a wooden roller coaster. And they had a company called come in, RMC, I believe, come in and kind of reconfigure the roller coaster. So it's still a wooden roller coaster, the frame and all that stuff, but they put steel track on it. And now it do all kind of interesting stuff. And so I finally got a chance. It was closed that was another, like, almost everything was closed. I don't know if they don't know what they doing or what, but when we got there, they said it was an hour. Like, for real, when you walk into the park, because, you can get the app and it tells you the wait times and all that stuff on the rides. Or if the ride is closed. Man, I tuned in. I mean, Jerica threw me off talking about I'll be back. She got me thinking about tuning in. Don't be leaving. I'm in the middle of my story. You just gonna leave? You know how rude that is? No, I'm just playing. So I go to the app. They say it's open. They say it's like a 50-minute wait. I'm like, okay, cool. Because the little baby and the little girl wanted to go over to the water park. I'm not swimming. So that she like, you go over there and you ride some roller coasters. We'll go over to the water park and we'll meet back up. Okay, cool. Head straight for Steel Vengeance. Look at the app. It's open. By the time I get halfway there, I refresh the app. Don't ask me why I refreshed the app, but I did. Oh, it's temporarily closed. I'm like, what in the world? So I walk on down, wander around trying to find it. Initially, I never found the entrance, but it was cool because it said it was closed. So I hop on Maverick, which is another really good roller coaster. But then a few minutes later, Steel Vengeance was back open. I'm like, okay, let me find the entrance. By the time I got there, it was closed again. Like, half of their rides were closed. Some of them for the day. But they were just like intermittently open and then I guess break down. And then be broke down for a couple hours and then be open and then break down. But eventually, we was getting ready to leave. And I looked and it was like Steel Vengeance is open and there's a 20-minute wait. So I'm like, I'm going to jump on Steel Vengeance. Went down there, found the entrance, and it's the best roller coaster in Ohio. It is the best roller coaster in Ohio. Of course, depending on what you like. I'm not an inversion guy, even though that sounds crazy saying that Steel Vengeance is the best because it's got a number of inversions. But the inversions are different. Like, don't put me through no loop. I'm cool on loops. I like hills and I love airtime. Hills and airtime. And you get hills and airtime in abundance. Even the little inversions on Steel Vengeance just feel like amazing airtime. So much so because, my daughter, well, y'all don't know, my daughter is very much a roller coaster head too. I take credit for that. And when I got off, I was like, you got to come down here and ride this roller coaster. She was like, nah, Daddy, I'm not going to ride nothing. I just wanted to hang out with you and, the little baby. And I was like, nope. Me and little baby going to sit here and wait. You get on that roller coaster. When she came off, she was like, Daddy, that's the best roller coaster ever. So, yeah, I'm giving Steel Vengeance, at least for right now, the best roller coaster in Ohio. I didn't ride Millennium Force because, again, it was closed. But, oh, my goodness, that's Steel Vengeance. But, man, I did so much walking yesterday. I don't even know how to describe it. My insides are sore. That sounds crazy, don't it? But for real, my insides are sore. I did just because the layout, like, again, we spoiled with Kings Island. If you're a theme park person, Kings Island is, it's kind of big, but it's nice. And y'all know it was like 95 degrees yesterday, sunny, like no clouds in the sky. There's no shade at Cedar Point. Like even in the water park, you figure they would have some umbrellas or something somewhere. They would have some umbrellas. No, there is no shade at Cedar Point. None. So it was, now I might be a few shades darker today. Hold on. I actually look a little green. Hold on. I got to do something. Okay, that's better. But if you like roller coasters, the kids area, it exists, but it's not a family park. It's not a family park. They got some decent, as they call them, flat rides, non-roller coasters. They got some decent stuff. And again, a lot of their stuff was closed, but I think they got the best roller coaster lineup. And that's what they're known for. But the way that they're set up, it's just all kind of crammed into areas. It's not the greatest setup. So, yeah. For roller coasters, Cedar Point. For, shade, good layout, better kids area. I'm even say better food, better prices on food. Everything else, Kings Island got Cedar Point beat. But Maverick, Steel Vengeance, best roller coaster in Ohio. Maverick number 2. Again, I didn't ride Millennium Force. All right, enough of that. Didn't nobody come here to hear me talk about roller coasters and Cedar Point. But yeah, my insides were sore. Jerica says, the hills take me out. The stomach drop feeling is too much. Has anyone ever passed out on a roller coaster? I'm sure people pass out on roller coasters all the time. I love the hills. The hills is the best. The hills some of these roller coasters, I get on and after the hill, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for this ride to be over. Oh, I'm upside down. Oh, I'm upside down again. Oh, I'm upside down again. Oh, you're whipping me. Oh, okay. Whew. Dang. Oh, boy. I will tell you, no, not bubble guts, Nat. Not just sore. Like, how you do a workout or something, strenuous activity, and your muscles are sore the next day. My insides are sore. My insides feels like muscle soreness. It's weird. It's hard to explain. I've never experienced it before. What was I saying? Oh, real quick. I think I done told y'all this before. I believe I got a concussion on Son of Beast. Y'all know I believe that. I really do. I think I got a concussion on Son of Beast when I rode it. Because I'm a roller coaster guy. I rode Son of Beast when it still had the loop. And when I got off that roller coaster, I was dizzy. I was nauseous. It was just so, I couldn't stand up for a while. My head was banging. I had the worst headache I've ever had in my life. And it was the first ride that we rode. I was like, I'm ready to go. I can't function. I'm dizzy. Like stuff is blurry. I can't think straight. Like I said, I was nauseous. And, everybody, you'll be all right. And so we stuck around for probably about another hour. And at one point, I was like, I just got to sit down. Y'all go do whatever y'all gonna do. I just got to sit down. And I just couldn't compose myself. And then eventually we end up leaving. I was like, I think I had a concussion from a roller coaster. Like, no, that's not good. So, yeah, I never rode that again. And when they took the loop out, I was like, I'm not chancing it, because it wasn't the loop that gave me the concussion. I'm shocked that you was tall enough to ride that. Yo, Underwood is a hater. You a hater, bro. You a hater. Oh, I had to tell the little baby, she need to hurry up and grow. She need to hurry up and grow. I think she only got like 4 more inches before she's big enough to ride the big rides. She got like 4 more inches. She was like 44 inches. You got to be 48 to ride some of the big rides. And then, of course, some of them you got to be 52. But, all right. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's kind of staying cool. Dealing with this heat. I got to go out here and cut this grass, so I'm going to probably wait. I'm going to be out there cutting the grass at about 9 o'clock, because when it cool down, when the sun go down, I'm going out and hit the yard. I'm not getting out there in this heat, messing with this grass and stuff like that. I'm not passing out, pushing no lawnmower around. So, yeah, I'll wait. But I hope everybody's staying cool. My air conditioner is mad, trying to cool this house down. It's just that they're just not made for this. They're not made for this. Crime in Cincinnati is the big conversation now. What was it? AvTab, the city manager, Cheryl Long, and Chief, is it Teresa Thigi? Did a little talk or whatever today. I kind of tuned into a little bit of it. But look, when I watch stuff like that, I'm like, really, this is just posturing. This is just posturing. When we have conversations about how to end the youth crime problem and how to deal with crime, it's just talk. It's just talk. I'm of the mindset that none of this stuff is going to make any significant difference. I'm not saying don't talk about it. I'm not saying don't do anything about it. You don't just, we can't stop it, so just let it run rampant. No, I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. But you're not going to stop it. So the best you can do is try to slow it down a little bit. Y'all know I watched Wyatt. So I was watching Wyatt. And, I guess they mentioned parents being responsible. And, that's one of Wyatt's big things. Parents, we got to hold parents responsible. And, I guess he believed he finally broke through. Like, I finally got him to say it. Wyatt, I don't think that you got him to say it. That people been saying that for many, many years. You're not the first or the only person who said that we should hold parents responsible. It tickles me because, he'd be like, yeah, I said it. And I'd be thinking, everybody said it. But it just tickled me a little bit. But what does that look like? That's really what I keep asking. What does that look like? What does that look like? Again, are we arresting parents? Your kids get into a fight, you go to jail. What are we doing? Like, for real, what does that look like? I've changed my perspective on some stuff. And I know people think I'm being sarcastic or whatever. Okay, I partly am. Because I know when I say this stuff that it's ridiculous. But my perspective now is, look, let's make it illegal for kids to run. Apparently, at Juneteenth and stuff like that. Kids was running. Teenagers was running. So, okay, let's make it a crime for kids to run. If you are not a part of an organized sport and you run, you get arrested. That's right. If you are up the street and you trying to hurry up and get to the store, and so you take off running, that's a crime. Let's make it a crime. Let's make it a crime. Okay, that don't make sense. If it's 3 of y'all, there's got to be a group. Apparently, we don't like groups of kids running. What law did they break? Well, but they was running. We got to do something about it. Let's make it illegal. A group, 5 or more kids running should be against the law. Unless it's an organized sport. No, we used to run. We used to be out there racing. We for real. We used to have races. I know we not the only ones. We used to have races. Like, I'm faster than you. I'm faster than you. I'm faster than all y'all. All right. We line up. First one to the tree. On your mark. Actually, we used to say on your march. We didn't know that it was on your mark. There was a mark on the ground at track. We used to say on your march, get set, go. And we would take off racing. It might be 5, 7, 10 of us. And we would be running to whatever the finish line was. Under my new policy, that would be illegal. If the police come by and see us, there's 10 of us running, well, they can arrest us. They can arrest us. We got to make running illegal. And fighting. We got into fights. When I was little, we got into fights. Fights broke out. That should be illegal. And whether it be running or fighting, if you get arrested for running, your mama and or daddy get arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor or for neglect or non-chaperonism or whatever we come up with to call it. What you say about my mama? Your mama fat. Boom, 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 we bang. The police see us banging. Y'all are under arrest. Where do you live? Take me home to my mama. Are you his mother? Yes. Did you know he was outside? He got into a fight. No. Lock her up. Why are we locking her up? She should have been there. She should have been there. You're neglecting your kid. Your kid is out here doing stuff and you don't know about it. Sorry, it's the law. I don't understand thoroughly what the idea of holding parents responsible. I don't get it. Do I agree that criminals are not born, criminals are made? Yes. I think it's a societal issue. I don't think it's an issue with our community. I think it's a societal issue. Now, if our community does have an issue, I do think we celebrate as a whole, not every individual, but as a whole, our community celebrates bad people. I really do. I really believe our community celebrates bad people. Even the people who say that they don't celebrate bad people celebrate bad people. I've heard, but y'all might not remember this, but not too long ago, I was having a conversation about not celebrating ex-drug dealers and ex-gangbangers and stuff like that. And I was told how wrong I was. Because who else are we going to have talk to our youth? It's like maybe some people who ain't never sold drugs or been in a gang. Maybe they can talk to our youth. Our youth ain't going to listen to them. Our youth ain't gonna listen to them. They need to hear somebody that's been there. But if you are, because to me, that's an elevation. If you are basically saying, hey, drug dealer, go talk to our young people. You're putting them in a position as some sort of a role model. And why do we act like we wasn't never young? Why do we act like young people are smart? When I was young, I took so many wrong messages from so many different things. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. So you're saying, hey, we're going to have this ex-drug dealer come and tell you about, they did that at my school. When I went to Schwab, they had a guy come in who was an ex-drug dealer, allegedly. And he gave us this speech, right? This is a true story. I don't remember his name. This is a 100% true story. He came and he talked to us. Here's what I remember. He talked about how much money he made, how he had different houses, different cars, all the girls that he wanted, but he still wasn't fulfilled. You know what I was thinking when he was saying that stuff? You was the problem. How you got all that money, all that houses and cars and women, and you not fulfilled? You was the problem. Not the drugs. You. If you gave me all of that money, cars, houses, women, I would be happy. But I wasn't fulfilled. That didn't fulfill me. And he talked about fur coats. I never desired to wear a fur coat. But, you know, he threw fur coats there. But, you know, he told us then he got arrested. And, you know, now he living his life on the straight and narrow and all that good stuff. And as a young person, I was thinking, bro, you didn't know what you was doing. All you had to do was stop while you was ahead. Get the money, get the houses, get the cars, get the women, and then stop. Now you got money, houses, car, bitches. That's what I was thinking back in the day. Yeah, I don't think like that no more. I don't call women those names. But like you got the money, the houses, the cars, the bitches, and then quit. Quit selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? I got the total wrong message from it. And you know what? I wasn't the only one. A number of my dumb friends, we was dumb. We was teenagers. What was we, 13, 14? And we was talking amongst ourselves afterwards. Because, you know, we gave him applause, you know, after he gave his long speech. And again, I don't remember all of the speech. I remember the part where he talked about all of the stuff that he had. And he went on and on about his money and his cars and houses and women. Talked about how, you know, he bought his mama a house and he bought his daddy a house and he bought this person a house and he had multiple houses. Like he was balling. Now, whether he was telling the truth or not, I can't tell you. You know, I don't know. I was, 13? I don't know. But I was caught up in, yeah, I could do all of that. I could make money. Now, it was never a real option for me. It's because, you know, if I would have got caught selling drugs, my mama would have gave me a whooping. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'd have got a whooping. But it wasn't the deterrent, I think, that they thought that it was going to be. Me and my friends was all like, and a few of those friends did become, you know, drug dealers. A few of those friends did become drug dealers. But we elevated that guy. We elevated that guy. He was not a cautionary tale in terms of don't sell drugs. He was a cautionary tale in terms of know when to get out. If you do it, you just got to know when to get out. But we do that all the time. We, you know, some in our community do that all the time. And we really think it's a good thing. Well, if you ain't never been in nothing, you can't tell me nothing. We don't want the nice, good, successful, humble people to be the role models to our young people. We want to give them a cautionary tale. I understand the thought process behind it. But you can't talk about, well, you can. I don't know that you should talk about how bad the morals and principles are in our community if you're one of the people who's encouraging people to look up to gang members and drug dealers. I'm not encouraging nobody to look up to them. I'm just saying, if you like in that life, who else are you going to listen to? Anybody else. Anybody else. Anybody. The janitor. You know what I'm saying? Let the janitor get up and tell us how he's taking care of his family and he's sending his daughter to college and so on and so forth. And he ain't in no trouble and all of that kind of stuff. And he's happy and he's living a good life. Yeah, we 13. We gonna mock the janitor. Like, and you push a broom. Shut up. You know. Because I don't know how many of y'all know this, but 13, 14, 15-year-olds, I use the term, they stupid. Stupid might not be the correct term, but it's how I feel like saying it. They're stupid. They're ignorant. They don't know stuff. And they got, to some degree, a twisted way of thinking at times. Jerica says, did they do away with the DARE program? I'm going to tell you, as a young person, the DARE program never moved me. I was never, and maybe I was cynical. I don't trust law enforcement. And if you telling me, because that's one of the things they used to tell us, is like, oh, this car is, this is for real. They used to say, like, they would have a DARE car, and they would tell us, this is confiscated drug car. And I'll be looking at the car like, why are you driving a car that was a drug car? You just as bad as the drug dealer. So y'all let the drug dealers do the dirt, make the money, buy the cars, and then y'all go in and take their cars and use them. That's not honorable. I never looked at the DARE people as honorable people. To me, they were like just as dirty as the drug dealers. You driving a drug dealer's car. One of the messages that they was putting out there to us is like, you know, all of these movies that was out. How, you know, the mama shouldn't take drug money. That's dirty money. You shouldn't take drug money. You shouldn't let a drug dealer buy you a house. That's dirty. But y'all let a drug dealer buy you a car. Well, y'all wasn't even honorable about it. Y'all let the drug dealer buy the car and then y'all went and took it and now y'all use it. That's not, so yeah, DARE never moved me. I was never a fan of DARE. I'm telling you, my own morals and values, along with, yes, my parents, the threat of a whooping, kept me from doing a lot of dirt. I did some bad stuff. Nothing really bad. I did some stuff that I guess if some people had their way, my parents would be in jail. My parents would have been in jail. They didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know what I was doing, but my parents would have been in jail if some people had their way. So the whole parents responsible, what does that look like? I mean, because I don't think anybody's like, you know, all right, Mom, I'm heading out to hang out with Tank and G. All right. What y'all gonna be doing? Oh, we gonna be breaking into cars and stealing guns. All right. Have a good time. I don't think that's happening. You Tank and G, if you told your mama, your daddy, we getting ready to go break into cars and steal guns, they'd probably be like, no. Now, if you could prove that they knew, then sure, throw their asses in jail. But most times, all right, I'm heading outside. All right, be in before the street lights come on. I don't think anybody says that anymore. But all right, and you don't know what your kid is doing with Tank and G. You just know they out there. Should that be illegal? Should that send you to jail? Well, what if we find out that they was breaking into cars and stealing guns? Prove the parent knew it, and then you got something. But what? Parents supposed to know everything their child do now? And if they don't, they go to jail. Come on. That's not reasonable. I know as a knee-jerk reaction, it sounds good because, parents, you mold the child. You mold the child. And so you shouldn't be molding a child that's going to go out with Tank and G and break into cars and steal guns. You shouldn't be doing it. It's your fault. You had that child. You raised that child. That child turned into a deviant, and we want to hold you responsible. I understand the thought process behind it, but it's not reasonable. It sounds good as a knee-jerk reaction. But as a practical principle, hold on, you was out there fighting as a youth. Should your parents have gone to jail? You was out there doing dirt as a youth. Should your parents be in jail? Well, no, my parents didn't know what I was doing. Right. So how do we change all of this? Man, if I had that answer, I'd be rich because I'd sell it. I would sell it. Here's the answer. In my book that you can buy for $19.99. You know what I'm saying? I would sell it. Crime exists. Crime has always existed. Crime is always going to exist. All we can do is encourage people. Encourage, yes, parents. Encourage parents. See, to me, this is what parental responsibility looks like. Not arresting people. Parental responsibility looks like us as a community coming to the conclusion that we're not going to celebrate drug dealers and gangbangers and the bad people in our community. We're not going to celebrate bad behavior, which again, I'm guilty of doing every once in a while. But we're not going to celebrate bad behavior. We're not going to celebrate, thugism or any of that kind of stuff. We're not going to shame people for, quote, being soft. We're going to even stop calling it being soft, and we're going to call it being reasonable. Yeah, it's those little things that we notice, that I notice anyway. Like when people start telling stories about their youth, and oh yeah, we was gonna do so and so, but then we had this one kid with us and he was soft and he didn't want to do it. And we don't realize that we just said that the kid who didn't want to do dirt was soft or a punk. Nah, we was getting ready to go steal stuff from Calvin's, but then we had this one kid who was strong and he decided he didn't want to participate. But nobody says that. Nobody says that. The way that we talk about the stuff that we talk about encourages bad behavior. But we don't, for real, we don't realize it. We really don't. Let me be clear. When I say we, I actually am including me. I know I had this long conversation about what we means. But when I say we, I'm including me. I'm included in we. Otherwise, I would say y'all. Or some people. A lot of people. When I say we, I'm including me. Sometimes we don't realize the message that we send in while we trying to send a different message. So what do? I want to do this. I want to ask y'all, for real, and I would love some feedback. What can we do? When I say we, me and you. Yes, you. If you watching this, you are you. What can we do? Not talk, not say. What can we actually do together as a group to make some sort of a difference? Because y'all know a lot of us can talk. And I believe Dwight Patton used to call me the king of talk and talk and talk and talk. Because he said I didn't take enough callers. And I just did a show where I just talked. And I was like, it's a talk show. What else am I supposed to do? Like, I'm supposed to be talking and then be like, all right, I've said enough. I'm finished talking, and just have silence. So we know I can talk. But what can we do? What can we do to make a difference? This is where things get a little difficult. But does anybody have any good ideas? What can we do in our community? In our community being whatever the community is you live in. And some of these predominantly Black communities where we see maybe some elevated levels of bad behavior. What can we actually do? Hold on, I saw Black Lion says, all them juvenile court cases I caught, my parents would still be in jail. For the probation they gave us, work detail at the zoo. It was so much fun working at the zoo. We committed the same crime and waited for the police so we could go back and work at the zoo. We told the judge we committed the same crime, and he sent us back to the zoo, but gave us a good talking to about there's a better way to get in the zoo than crime. That's funny. I only had work detail once. And I worked at what I call the doodle plant. It was a wastewater treatment facility. A wastewater treatment facility. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. That's where, when you use the bathroom and you flush it, when Rumpke or whatever had them porta potties and they empty them, that all goes somewhere. It don't just go into the river. It goes to a place. And it comes in as sludge. And it goes out crystal clear. And then that goes theoretically into maybe the river or something like that. But there's a whole process that they use. And I learned a good portion of the process, and it's just nasty. It's just nasty. It gets purified so many times, and then they take the waste and they sell the waste. So they do different things and they thicken it. Yes, it's thickening, just like it's sucking the water out of the stuff. And it'd be these big tanks filled with half thick stuff, and you have to spray it down and stuff be flying off, and it just be nasty. It just be nasty. We didn't shovel it. Everything was moved on a conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt was, had openings on it, and it kind of vibrated a little bit to shake the water down to thicken up the sludge. And then that water coming off of that would go somewhere else. And then the thickened sludge would go somewhere else so that it could, they could extract even more water from it. And then that water, and it would all go through the process. And, then they would treat it with different chemicals. And I remember lime being a part of the process. But it was these gigantic vats of just thick doodle water. That's the only way I can think of to describe it. Thick doodle water. And it, like I say, as stuff evaporate, it'd be stuff on the sides. And they didn't want to waste a piece of doodle. So they would have us out there with these medium power hoses spraying the sides to get the stuff off the side. Yeah, I'm going into detail about it. To get stuff off the side. And it was a dude that I was working with because I refused to be the other dude. Like, somebody had to have the hose. And then somebody had to have, I think it was a brush or shovel or something, and kind of shovel off the side. And you'd be spraying and stuff be flying. And he would have stuff on his face, and I would be like, oh my God, he got hepatitis. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. So I would never not be the dude with the hose. I think I had to do that for like 7 weekends in a row. Yes, Mary, that's what they did. They sold it for fertilizer, and people would buy it apparently. So it was a revenue stream for the city. A few people are asking, what did I do to end up with work detail? If I remember, I got caught driving under suspension. I got caught driving under suspension. And that was my sentence. Work detail. Work detail. But yeah, it was a whole nasty process. Man, if I could have just gone to the zoo and worked, that would have been great. That would have been great. Jerica says, what was the name of the roller coaster again? Steel Vengeance? If that's what you're talking about, Steel Vengeance. But yeah, it was a nasty work detail. But yes, all of that. Black Lion, yes, your point is, if my parents would have got in trouble every time I got in trouble, then they probably still be in jail. So that's why hold parents responsible. That's easy to say. We should hold parents responsible. I agree. We should hold parents responsible. How? How? And in what way? And then, okay, we're holding them responsible. How do we help them be better parents? Because, look, y'all, some people shouldn't be parents. Some people shouldn't be parents. Like, almost everybody can do it. By do it, when I was little, that's what we called it, having sex with somebody. So anytime you hear me say do it, that's what I'm talking about. Almost everybody can do it, okay? Good people, bad people, rich people, poor people, homeless people, people with homes, young people, some old people. Almost everybody can do it. And sometimes when people do it, people get pregnant. And if one or two bad people do it to each other, and then a baby comes out of that, what do you expect them to do? You expect two bad people to raise a good child? You expect two people with, at least based on, the way I see it, low morality to raise a child with high morality? You expect two people, or, many times it's just one. Because when, you got two bad people who do it to each other, usually the mama gonna end up with it because he's a bad guy. He probably not gonna take care of his child. It's his fault for not taking care of his child. It's her fault for picking him, but she a bad person, so she gonna probably pick a bad person. So now you got this mad, bad chick raising a child. She may or may not have wanted a kid. She gonna celebrate the wrong stuff. She probably gonna be more concerned with the clothes that he got on than if he can read or write or, count. Not in all cases, but there are some cases. As he grow up, she gonna be more concerned with other stuff. Meaning any other thing other than him. She's not gonna be a good parent. But what are we supposed to do to stop two bad people from doing it to each other and having a baby? Talk about it. That's what we just talk about it. We supposed to talk about it. No, we supposed to put her in jail. Sometimes I'll be like, what did you expect? What did you expect? And that's where somebody had to stand in the gap. And not, hold on, let me be clear. When I say stand in the gap, I don't mean stand in the gap. That's how we got here. Somebody stood in the gap and then did some stuff. Stand in a place where we can be helpful to the little child who's being raised by the bad parents. And that's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to do because they're bad people. And God, we all know. You see a little kid doing something bad. You maybe try to lovingly correct the kid or show the kid a different way. And the bad kid's parent is mad because you corrected their kid. I don't think a lot of times they mad because somebody trying to correct their kid. I think they comfortable with the bad stuff that you trying to correct. And they don't like you trying to make their kid weak or whatever. And even if not that, they just bad. They bad people. So they cool with it. Leave my kid alone. So what do? You stand up and say, let's hold parents accountable. Stop telling me to hold parents accountable. Tell me what that looked like other than sending them to jail. Because, all right, you send them to jail. Now you got a parent in jail and you got a kid in jail. Depending on the sentence, the kid eventually going to get out of jail and the parent eventually going to get out of jail. Now what? Are we offering parenting classes? Are we taking kids from parents? Now what? We got to hold parents responsible. We do. But then what? Because you still got the bad kid. You still got the product. the product of the two bad people doing it, you still got the child there. What do we do? Well, we just keep judging them. And if you judge them enough, then you'll feel better because you judged them. It won't stop nothing, though. But you could say, I told y'all. But how do that help? How do that help? I'm not mad at Avtab Pureval because he can't do nothing about it. Like, oh, he's a bad leader. All the community leaders are bad leaders. Then if you got the answer, put it into action. If you got the answer, put it into action. We got bad leadership. Maybe, maybe not. But fix it how? I know people who are working really hard to fix people because it really is kind of a one individual at a time. And you put yourself in a position where you say, hey, look, I see the problem, or at least I see the portion of the problem that I think I could do something about. And so I'm going to try to do something. So I'm going to take this group of kids and I'm going to mentor them. I'm going to, whatever their thing is. And I'm going to try to help steer them in their lives. And then you look back and you like, I was successful with 2 of them, but the other 8, they still, and no matter how much I talked to them, no matter how much I preached to them, they still ended up doing the stuff that I was trying to get them to not do. Do that make you a bad leader? A bad mentor? No, it doesn't. Because you can't fix everybody. So I don't calling people bad this and bad that, and I don't know that that's helpful. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I got to open up the phone lines. I know some of y'all like, no, but I blame y'all if y'all choose not to call. Don't blame the people who call. And we don't want to hear from that person. Then call. Because if you on the line, then they can't get on the line. But I'm at work. Well, then if they call, I'm going to take their call. If you call, I'm going to take your call. Hold on, I saw Ken. Ken says, Emanuel, we're doing all the above. There's just going to be those pockets of people with inappropriate behavior. Right. That's actually, that easily sums up the larger point that I'm trying to make. That sums up the larger point that I'm trying to make. Anthony.
Hey, what's up, E-Man?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, bro. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right.
Man, we're talking about maybe it's time to start penalizing some parents. I look at it like this, at least from my standpoint, my opinion,
All right.
is that a lot of these kids have probably started having problems in school. And if the school has notified you that, little Johnny ain't making it to school, he ain't doing his homework, this and that, whatever, what were your steps in starting to correct his actions from that point before it gets up to he's out here robbing and killing people at 15 years old? So
But okay, what if they took steps? For example, my mama got calls from school that I wasn't doing my homework,
Right.
and my mama beat my ass. It didn't make me do
Yeah.
my homework, but
Yeah.
she did something. So would that be okay? But then if I graduated to robbing and stealing people, would she still be in trouble? Would it be like, well, no, you beat his ass, so you good. But oh, you didn't beat his ass, so you going to jail. Like what's the
Well,
what's
see,
the standard?
well, see, and I'm not even talking about the first time offense, but I'm thinking that a lot of these kids have had a history of this before they get to the robbing and killing and stealing kids and stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, now we've let you know what's going on. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I also say there should be some things in place. Maybe you do need some help in your household. Can we get you some family parenting classes? Can we look at maybe your job situation? You know, do we have some programs that can get you maybe even a better education, help you with getting to that next level? You know, it shouldn't just be coming in penalizing you right off the bat. But
Okay, wait.
if there's been a history,
Uh-huh.
we've notified you, we've tried to work with you. Okay, at some point, okay, maybe now you got to pay a fine, or maybe now you and little Johnny got to do some community service together. Maybe that'll give y'all some bonding time.
But
You
what
know,
about
maybe little Johnny will say, "I don't want my mom and my daddy out here. We cleaning up the park or whatever." You know, maybe I mean, you know,
but what
give people something to think about.
but what about this, Anthony? Um, we all hear stories of somebody who had, maybe 3, 4 kids. And 3 of the 4 were great kids. But the 4th kid, they tried everything that they knew, but that 4th kid was still just a bad kid, right? So clearly they didn't need parenting classes. They was batting 750, you know? So they don't need parenting classes. They got a good job. They just got a bad kid. Do they
And
still have to do community service?
I get that, but at the same time, you can't explain to me or make me understand how you don't know that your 15-year-old is out here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning running around some other adults being a hitman. You know, if you at that point, if your kid missing, you call the boys or whoever and let them know that, hey, my little Johnny, you know, he done snuck out the house. Now we got, at least you letting us know.
But
You know, if we
but you know that, or at least I've heard stories that you remember back in the day, parents used to take their kids up to 2020 and drop them off.
yeah, it
People
was
can't do
always a
that no
threat.
more, you know. So that to me is an acknowledgement that this child is out of control. But what happens if I do that? If I bring my kid up there and they like, we don't take kids, you take that kid home and raise him. And you're like, I've been trying to raise him. What can a parent do if they just got a bad kid? You can't just turn them in. They don't do that no more. But
Well,
so
and
now
I just,
because I got
I
a
understand.
15-year-old who won't come home at night, and I done did everything that I know how to do, now I'm gonna go to jail?
Well, I get that, but that's why I'm saying it's kind of like at least you gave us a paper trail that you acknowledging that your kid is having problems. You tried to let us know that he's out here instead of just there's no idea of what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. You haven't paid attention. I'm saying as long as you made an effort, I get that. But a lot of these people ain't even making an effort. And I'm not saying come in and penalize somebody right off the bat. Maybe there are some things going on in the home that we need to have some services in place to we can offer to maybe correct what's happening.
So you
To help correct.
for sending parents to jail or something like that. Maybe not the first time, but eventually, if your kid is bad enough, you go to jail.
At some point, if we have no problem with parents of these kids who get these guns, they bought them the gun and they know they got some issues, but then they go to school and shoot up the school, and we got no problem with the parents getting charged for that. I don't see why not.
Well, I think and I'm not saying that it never happens, but I think you're giving a different example. Sure, if you are out there buying your kids a gun to go out and rob and kill people, then there's already a crime for that.
And I understand that. I know it's like apples and oranges, But at the same time, we know we got some parents out here who just ain't doing their job either.
That's true.
Some of them got some issues that maybe we can help with. Other ones just ain't doing what they need to be doing.
Okay, so once we send them to jail, all right, and then they get out and the kid is still bad, then what?
Say what? I'm driving. I really didn't hear you.
Okay, once we send them to jail, your kid is really bad. They got guns. They out at being a hitman to 3:00 in the morning, whatever. We send them to jail. They get out, and the kid is still bad. What then?
Well, if your kid is out here at 3:00 in the morning doing, just depending on what the specific crime is, if it's egregious enough, then your kid need to be locked up until 21 or whatever, and maybe moved into adult prison after that. And maybe you need to do 10, 15 years.
10 or 15 years. Okay.
If your kid then out here robbed somebody and killed them, they 14, 15 years old, and you've had some problems with this kid, you didn't inform nobody, you just been doing your own thing, your child been doing their own thing, yeah, you culpable on that.
Okay. Look, I'm not here to say you're right or you're wrong. I'm here to say I don't agree with you, but I think it's easy to say that, if you got good kids. But if you got a kid that's out of control, and I'm telling you, there are a lot of parents out here who understand that they have bad kids. Because, look, I'm going to set aside, again, I talked about it earlier. There's some bad people raising children, and they don't care. But there are also some good people who are doing their best, and they have some bad kids, and their kids end up doing some really bad stuff.
But that's why I said we can't just penalize people. We also got to have some things in place. And for me, a lot of this stuff starts early in school. And if we need to, have our own, not these private like Don schools, everything. We need to have a campus where the kids stay for the week, and maybe something like a military school, get back to something like that, boot camps where you're going to get your education, but you also going to do a little work too,
Can we just allow parents to kick their kids out?
Well, we let kids get emancipated at 16.
No, I mean, you 13, you a bad kid. Ain't nothing I can do. Get out. You don't live here no more. You ain't my kid no more. I don't know where you gonna go, but you got to get out of here, because if you keep doing what you doing, I might end up in jail for 15 years.
Well, I certainly don't agree with that. I believe you should at least take care of that kid until they're 18. You made them.
Wait. I just want to understand this. I got a bad kid that no matter what I do, that kid keep doing bad. Under your plan, if they do bad enough, I might be in jail for 15 years. I'm doing the best that I can. You telling me I just have to be saddled with potentially 15 years in prison? Like, I have no other option but to maybe be in jail for 15 years?
I didn't say that. I said you're negating the first part of my statement, is that I believe the system should have something in place. Once we recognize that you got a bad kid, you can't handle your child. Okay, now we got special schools, run schools. We don't have to depend on places like Don and all that. So when they go under, we got these same kids back on the street. This is where your kid is going to go. It'd be like you can come get your visits and this and that, whatever, but you still got to pay some money. You got to put some money on the books. You can't get off scot-free. You the parent. So yeah, we got your kid now. We trying to help them, but you got to put some money on the books. So you ain't gonna just get off scot-free.
Just so I'm clear, so they can, again, they won't let you go drop your kid off at 2020. But it sounds like you saying, you should be able to drop your kid off, maybe not at 2020, but somewhere.
I think so. Yeah, like a school, another school, a facility where the kids are kept there, and they're maybe you're not the one to give them that structure. Maybe we can give them that structure instead of having them out on the street, missing school and this and that. And then it gets up to the point now here you are, 14, 15 years old. You don't rob somebody, or the police chasing you in a car, and you hit an innocent bystander going through the streets. We got to do something. It can't keep going the way it's going.
All right. Are you willing to help work on some sort of a process to put such a facility in place?
Maybe we can get Dr. Umar Johnson. He about school.
No. Come on.
We can't. No, I'm just saying.
No, Anthony, but for real, we can't come up with solutions and then say, but let somebody else do it.
No, I'm saying, well, the money should come from the state.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. It's just like I said, that these kids it's like being on welfare or anything else. It should be a state-run a system.
Are you willing to actively participate in putting something like that together?
I mean, I can voice my opinion to politicians. I think we, as voters, we should all push for something like that.
I mean, voice to politicians, but also get your hands in the dirt to make it happen.
Well, I mean, how would I make it happen? It's just what I think it should be done. I don't know how to go about doing. I'm not an educator. I'm not a psychologist and all that. So, but I would think the people that we vote for have all access to all that. They have access to the money. They can give money to let a business say they moving their headquarters. Oh, we'll build you a new building. We'll build you a new garage. We'll do this. We'll do that.
So are you willing to actively advocate in terms of contacting your local officials consistently, writing letters and going to different meetings and all of that kind of stuff to see something like this happen?
Oh, yeah. You can ask Greg Lansman. I stay on his ass. I don't know if he listens, but I contact him all the time about some stuff.
But what about
I got no problem.
State? What about state?
I think if more people would be active in doing that, instead of just voting and going back home sitting on the couch, I think some things would change.
Are you lobbying state legislators for something like this to happen?
Well, we're just talking about it now, but I got no problem with calling Cecil Thomas, and I got no problem with it.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking and the reason I'm asking is because I know a lot of people say stuff, and that's where it died. I said it, and now it's dead. And it might be a great idea, but it just dies right there. And if we really want to see solutions, and you have what you believe to be a valid solution or part of the solution, somebody's got to take it and make it a reality and not just a thought.
Yeah, but it's easy to be in a room of 100 people with one person screaming and yelling. It's easy to ignore that person. I think the whole room of 100 people need to be screaming and yelling. Not saying that I shouldn't get started, but I got no problem with it.
Okay.
But I think everybody needs to be doing it. We can't keep having this. And again, there's 45 million of black people in this country. We ain't all effed up.
Right.
But
right.
it's enough to make you have a side eye of the ones that's out here doing whatever they're doing, and some innocent people are getting hurt for no reason, and somewhere we got to try to stop it.
I agree. I don't necessarily agree with your solution, but I think if you believe in it, then you should be willing to fight for it.
I got no problem with it.
All right, and I'll support you.
All right, bro. Peace and love to you.
Hey,
love
man,
to the chat.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Later.
All right. He had a solution. Or at least maybe a piece of a solution, or at least an idea that, you know what I'm saying? I know I sounded like I was exceptionally contrary to the idea, but I believe when somebody comes up with an idea and they present it, you don't just say, yeah. And ideas get better the more that they're, well, what about this? Oh, I didn't think about that part of it. Well, then we do this. Okay, and then what if that happened? Okay, then we do this. And that's how you come up with a good solution, in my opinion. Again, I don't necessarily agree with what his solution was. But he thinking about it. And I like that. CK, hold on, CK, before you go, Ronald posted something that I always feel compelled to say something about when I see it. Ronald Dixon says, the black race is the only race that tells their kids, I can't wait till you 18 so you can get your A out my house. I hate that for us. Ronald, that's not true. I got white friends who parents told them the same thing. And they were out by 18. So almost any time you say the black race is the only race you're probably wrong. You're probably wrong. And I hate that many times we have such a negative view of our own race and we think if we do something wrong, we the only ones who do it. It's just not true. It's just not true. I think it makes us look and sound bad. And, then when people outside of our race hear us say that, they adopt that. And they like, yeah, they so bad. They the only race that, and they the only race that, if I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody say the black race is the only race that, followed by something negative, I have a couple dollars. Because I hear it a lot, but a nickel ain't that much. So, but I hear it a lot. And I can't think of a single time when I heard it and it was true. So if we can stop saying that, it would be good. It would be good. Pamela says, do those same white friends come over to the house for dinner? Yes. Yes. I got a few friends that I've had for a long time. So yes. Yes. CK.
Yes, your statement is accurate, sir. Cot blocking doesn't have a race. I mean, white parents want their kids out of there too so they can walk around butt naked too. That's not just black people. I heard white parents say that before. Like, I can't wait for their ass to get out the house. I heard it from white people parents.
Yes, it does. It does exist in other races.
Yeah, you want them out the house, especially when you up here, Livingston, when you living with somebody and you're not contributing and you're not in school. It don't matter what race you is. It's time to go. Emanuel, am I lying?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm just saying that black parents aren't the only parents that do it. But I don't necessarily agree with the idea that when you're 18, you need to get out. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I've said nothing of that age. I'm saying if you in somebody's house and you're not contributing financially and you're not in school, you need to get the F out.
Again, I don't necessarily agree with that.
So give me your, how the hell, what kind of parent are you? How do you prepare yourself and your child for 18 before? Like, what happened? What did you tell them?
Well, why does 18 have, this sudden magic ability to make the kids be adults? Like, he was 17 years old and 364 days old. So then he was okay. He was a child. But then tomorrow, boom, magically, you're an adult and you should be wise and experienced and knowledgeable and get out. That's just some random age that somebody came up with, and they said, we think this is about the age where people should be considered adults. But there's nothing magic about turning 18. And if your child graduates from high school, say, and, they want to take that gap year or whatever to do whatever, have different experiences and whatever. I've experienced that that's not necessarily a horrible thing. you may not have a job right now or consistently have a job that entire year. You may, do some traveling or, explore other options. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're an artist and you want to go out and try to do some artistic things. Any number of things could happen where you don't just, okay, you ain't in school and you ain't got no job contributing to the house. Get out. Like, no, but you're still a value. You're still my child. I still love you. I still feel like you're valuable. And I still want to make sure that you're well taken care of. You can start school next year or trade school next year or, whatever. Sure, at some point, your life has to have some sort of direction, but there's nothing magical about the age of 18 that automatically grows children from children to adult.
Yes, sir. May I hit you with my rebuttal, sir?
Sure.
Okay, my rebuttal to that. Me, personally, I was that problem child. I was that child where, look here, man, I'm trying to make it to 18. I'm trying. You know what I mean? So 18 is the best. You lucky I didn't kick your ass out earlier than that because I keep on. I'm a good parent. I'm working with this fool. He's an idiot. He don't do nothing. I mean, he can't comprehend anything. He's getting in trouble. He's going to. I don't want to be associated with this guy. I'm just going to hang in there till he's 18. But when that birthday comes, like you said, this is 16. This is 16. You already ready to get rid of his ass. Because the things you're doing out here in the public is, I didn't raise you like that. So if you want to discredit my good name, you can get the hell out. You lucky I ain't put you out while you was underage. But as soon as your birthday go, you out of here, Jack. It's the pressure. I'm tired. Parents are tired going to see the principal's office, going to court, you know what I mean? Going to, bail you out of jail. People get tired, Livingston. They get tired. And that's when they want to kick you out. I'm not talking about a regular traditional, just a regular kid. I'm talking about the bad kids like myself.
Okay.
The bad kids, you got to kick them out.
Look,
because if you don't pay your rent, you will get evicted. That's part of the game. That's part of the 18 game. Okay, now you in the adult game. Now, okay, I'm on rent. Boom. That's how you do it.
Okay.
What's wrong with 18? I mean, how you feel about it?
Well, I already said how I feel about it. I don't agree with you necessarily, but different people do different things for different reasons. If you've got a child who's always in jail and all of that kind of stuff, and they're creating a hazardous situation in the house, and you're not capable as a parent of taking care of them and helping them, I don't know. I would suggest maybe instead of just, hey, you got to get out, finding a program. But if they won't participate in, some sort of a program or something like that, I don't know. Maybe you got to do what you got to do, I guess, for your safety. And because I'm not saying, you got a kid who's 18 and like you said, they always in jail and they always in trouble and they always this. The way I see it, you really don't have to put them out. If they always in jail, they going to do something. They going to go to jail. They 18. They going to adult jail and, that be that. You ain't even got to worry. You ain't got to worry about putting them out.
And that's what I'm saying. By this happening, they don't know how to live, so they don't know how to take care of themselves. So now they're 24, 26. This is why they be with their mamas at 30, because they've been in and out of jail, Livingston. So I'm telling you, you got to cut them off at the 18 mark, because of what you've been going through as a parent. You see what I'm saying? You have been exhausted.
Look,
and it's financially costing you too, sir.
CK, I understand what you're saying. I just don't necessarily agree with it. There's, as they say, there's exceptions to every rule. So you might find yourself in a dangerous position, with a 18-year-old homicidal person or something like that living with you. Oh, my goodness. With an 18-year-old homicidal person living with you, and you're like, you got to get out of here, So there's exceptions to every rule. Just as a general rule, I don't necessarily believe that there's any magic to the 18th birthday that makes a child able to take care of themselves or ready for the world, as we say, and they're still gonna need some guidance and support from their parents even after the age of
We
18.
pulling for ourselves? Are we pulling from ourselves? Because I think we're talking about personal experience. How old were you when you left
Well, I guess technically I went to college, but when I went to college, I still lived with my grandparents for quite some time. And then when I came back here, I moved in with my dad. So I'm going to say I might have been 22, maybe 22.
Oh, and it helped you. But you see how this man was living. He was going to college. He was the type of guy. He was manageable. We got these people living with us. Ain't nothing better than an 18-year-old that's going to college. Hey, come stay with me. I want that. You just don't want a guy that's running the street selling crack living with you. That's the type. An 18-year-old going to college, hey, that's good. Eat up all the food. That's cool. Wash clothes. That's no problem. It's the drug. But I want you to realize that when the guy said lock up the parents for 10 to 15 years, no way, Livingston, no way, Jose. I disagree with that. Vietnam, what's the word? Vietnamese. I disagree with that.
You close enough. You close enough.
Yes, I don't like that at all, sir. That is ridiculous. And I like you let him off easy. You gave him some grace. But I knew inside you felt that was totally wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I felt that was totally wrong. Now, he had, at some point, he had brought up the idea of if a parent bought a gun for their kid to go out and commit murders, okay, then yeah, that's some significant time. But
He switched it up on you. But I just want you to understand, sir, reason why we could fix it, but we have to go back to traditional values, sir. I think we need to start back eating at the table and conversating about our day that we had. Remember, we used to do that? We used to sit at the table and eat, but now we're into our phones and the TV. Even when I was a kid, the TV tray. No, we need to sit around the dining room table. I would like to get your thoughts on that, consider that you're married.
I think that might work for some people. For some other people, it's not something that they're going to do. I don't think that eating around the dining table is the answer.
No phones.
Again, I don't think that eating around the dining table is the answer. If it's something that as a family you want to do and it works out for you, then great. But I don't think that's the answer. Like, oh, we're going to eat around the table and then crime is going to go away.
Yeah, because we get to talk about, then you get to talk to little Lisa about her day, what she did at school. But then you talk to Todd about what he did when he was, he's a welder. He tell me about, so now our brains are, our brains are, what's the word? Utilized. We getting brain utilized.
I understand what you're saying. There is, I believe, having conversations with your young people, talking about life and things of that nature is important. But you can do that without necessarily sitting around the table eating. But I'm not against sitting around the table eating. I just wouldn't say that's the prescription for making sure that your children are never in trouble.
I appreciate you trying to fix the problem, but like you said, we have to. I'm giving you the answers, and it's working in my life. I was a bad demon child, and now look at me. I'm a man of God. You see what I mean? I was a bad demon child.
Well, I don't know that it's working. I don't know that you can say it's working in your life in terms of the family eating around the table because you don't have any children or a wife to sit and eat around the table with. So you don't have a situation to compare it to. Yes,
I do. When you meet these women and they have children, you could take them out to dinner.
No.
You could take them.
No, there's a huge difference between meeting a chick with some children and sitting down for a dinner, every once in a blue moon and having children of your own that you're raising. They're not even comparable.
So my stepkids love me.
You don't have
Just like
step
they love their
kids, man. You're not married.
What? I'm divorced, sir. You think they not my? So you think I divorced my stepkids too? You out of here? You're out of line, Livingston. I did not divorce my stepkid. They still love me. He just told me he loved me last week. What are you talking about?
When last time you sat around the table with them and had dinner?
7 years. It's been a while, but
Yeah.
he still loved me. But he's a grown man. He's 30 now, sir. He's 30 and he has his own kid. He has 6 kids at 30 with the same woman. Yes, that's because of me. I influenced him well.
You're not talking about children then. You're talking about grown people. You're talking about raising children, and the answer to them not getting involved in crime is sitting around the dinner table eating. And I'm telling you, that's not the answer. It's not a bad thing to do, but it's not the answer.
But we have 6 grandchildren, and my influence, my presence that's what I'm saying. When I give you answers, sir, you always come back with negativity.
Okay, when's the last time you sat around the dinner table with your grandchildren?
Sir, I just told you I raised him. He sits with them. I taught him how to do it. He's grown. He's raising his kids.
Again, you're talking about someone else's experience. All I'm trying to tell you is, if it's something that you're not doing and you don't have any children to speak of, then it's difficult because you said, well, I meet these girls and then they have children and we go out to dinner. That's totally different than being in the house, raising a child 24/7 and trying to teach them values and morals. Some chick that you met with kids, it's not the same.
And the chick you met with kids became your wife. You already done it. You raised your kids. What are you talking about? Hold on. So you're telling me what you've done, you don't want credit for what you've already done?
What have you done?
Raised
Tell me what you did.
I raised them.
You raised
I raised both of my stepkids.
How long were you married? Hold on. How long were you married?
I was married for 9 years, from 2005 to 2014.
All right. How old were the children when you met their mama?
About 10, 11.
You didn't raise them. They were, most of the way there. You didn't raise them.
But Livingston, why won't you give me credit?
You may have helped, but you can't.
Yeah, I helped.
When we talking about, at least when I'm talking about in this context, raising children, I'm talking about from conception to adulthood and really beyond.
Yes, I did that. And all I'm trying to tell you is we are brothers from the same struggle. We are looking for the same outcome, sir. So we should not try to tear each other down.
And I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm just trying to enlighten you that what you're saying is not the answer. That's it.
And just remember, when you talk to me, you're talking to a man that has saved more than one black life. And I'm talking about due to gun violence. I have stopped people from pulling triggers. That's what I do. I have the gift from the Lord.
I'm glad to hear that. Did you take them? Did you take them and raise them and sit and have dinner with them?
No, just talk. Listen.
Then how does that how does that affect the actual conversation that we're having?
Because the people that I talk to, they have kids. You gonna listen? When you murder somebody, you affect everybody, including the children. What the fuck is wrong with you? You gotta stop doing this to your own people.
But what does that have to do with you said that the answer is to sit down at dinner and have conversations with them. You
have to change your mindset, like what you were saying earlier, sir, when you were saying, stop telling them the smart guy got out the car. So this type of mindset that we're doing is good. But when me and you try to work on it together, you try to entertain your audience by tearing me down.
How am I tearing you down? All I'm doing is just being realistic. I'm not saying that what you're saying can't be helpful, but it's not the answer. How is that tearing you down?
You know, when I call your platform, it's all respect and it's all God. It's all love. I'm not trying to tear you down, sir. I'll be thinking that you're against me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I appreciate you as a person, man. I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I know you're not standing with
me.
Thank you.
Okay, I 100% agree with you. You're right.
I 100% agree with you. I'm sorry. You know I got mental illness. What is it, bipolar? Whatever this shit is I got, I appreciate you working with me, and you know that I'm messed up, but you still talk to me, and I appreciate it. A lot of people don't like when I call, but you know what I'm going through, and you don't mind working with mentally challenged people. And I appreciate you getting me through tough times, because right now is a tough time, and you talk to me every day. And I pray for your family every day, man. Thank you so much for looking out for me, man. I really
CK,
appreciate you, man.
CK, I appreciate you as well. Have a wonderful day.
You too, man.
All right. All right. That was CK. Look, I'm not diminishing, even if you're, because I believe so-called step parents are valuable. But there's a difference. There is a difference. You know what I'm saying? You didn't raise that. All I'm saying is that's not the answer. Again, it may be helpful, for some people. It may help them get a window into their children's lives, and that might be the space where you decide, or where, you can have conversations, meaningful conversations with your children and all of that kind of stuff. But some people can have meaningful conversations with their children in other areas, and it don't necessarily have to be we all sit down at the table at the same time and sit and talk about our day. Nothing wrong with it, but it's also kind of it's not wrong if it's something that you don't do. That's all I'm saying. Brent.
Hey, what's going on, E-Man?
Hey, what's going on?
I think CK was trying to say Vietnamese. Is that the word he was looking for?
No, he was clearly saying vehemently, but he couldn't.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't get it out.
All right. Oh, but before we get to the serious stuff, family reunion is next Friday. Live stream assistance. Need your help.
All right. Hey, message me. Do I have your number?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. But I'll message you if I don't have it.
Shoot me your number. I'll give you a call one day this week.
All right. Appreciate it. With the children, with the youth, the teens and everything, with what's going on there in Cincinnati, which is not uncommon for larger cities. Cincinnati wants to be a large city, so part of being a large city is you're going to have more children, more teens that are out there and left to their own devices. They're going to get in mischief, just like we did when we were kids and everything. But now through social media and cell phone cameras, everything gets magnified. Everything gets, because the one video, I think it was Iris Rowley, she said that was her niece that got beat up. Before, when somebody got beat up, you would hear about it word of mouth. Like, you hear such and such got beat up, and you're like, what? But now it's on a continuous loop, and there's no telling how many, thousands, if not tens of thousands of times that individual video has been viewed. But yeah, do you remember Good Times? You know the show Good Times.
Yes.
With Mad Dog, you remember Mad Dog?
I remember Mad Dog.
Punked JJ into being in the gang, and then Mad Dog grazed JJ.
Yes.
Didn't shoot him, but they went to court and everything. Mad Dog was in the court. James wanted to break him in two.
But he had it was pretzels that he had in his pocket, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he made that sound with his mouth where he said he's going to snap his bones. What happens later on? Mad Dog's mama comes in there apologizing to the judge. Hey, I got 3 other children that I'm taking care of, and because his name was like Cleavon or something like that was his name. Mm-hmm. Or was Cleavon the nephew who robbed the bank, former Black Panther? Well, it was something like that. But essentially, at the end of that episode, his mom was pissed, and she was like, "I can't do nothing with you. I try to do right, and you just lost cause." And he said something about his daddy was there, and she slapped fire at him and said, "I'm done with you." And that's an example of a woman who was trying to work to take care of other children, and she just got fed up and said, "Mad Dog, I'm done with you." And then even after that, James felt sorry for him because of just the situation and circumstances of his life, which with every single one of these stories, there's
there's nuance to it, and we have to treat it as nuance, because you got the leaders, because most time it's one or two, maybe two people who are getting the followers and intimidating other folks to get involved with that foolishness, and people, children want to feel included.
Yes.
And so they wind up, some of them get caught up in stuff that they ain't got no business being caught up in. And so the biggest thing with, because they got the juvenile justice system, the biggest thing is whatever winds up happening, I want our children to get treated like they white. So if our children wind up trying to buy drugs with fake money, they should get off too, just like them white kids. Some years ago there in the Cincinnati area tried to buy buy them drugs with that fake money.
Yeah.
So,
one of their parents was a police officer.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the problem with trying to, put the screws or tighten things up, or maybe they'll do a team vortex or something like that, because our children, our community is always going to get hit the worst and hardest, and there's not going to be any compassion, any love, any nuances. We don't have a Tracy Hunter there in the juvenile court, because they got her out the box, and I truly believe they got her out the box mainly because that she was messing with their money. Because there are these private prisons and different facilities like that. I don't know if you remember the case in Pennsylvania where some judges finally went to jail because they were actually referring children over to correction facilities that they had a financial stake in.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's, that's the nuance in there. And of course, one of the things with, to help kids who may be wayward and everything after that 18, magical number, Job Corps is no more.
Right.
On Tuskegee's campus, we had a Job Corps, and those were folks who couldn't go home. Their parents a lot of them, their parents did kick them out. So they were trying to go there, get things right, so that they didn't have to resort to the street life in order to get things together. But solutions. We talked about problem solutions. Man, the men have to step up. The men at these churches, at these synagogues, at these mosques, with these clubs and fraternities and Masonic temples, we got to step up and be in these areas to help, try to help interrupt a lot of this foolishness that's going on. Because, a man's voice hits differently than a woman's voice. The bass in a man's voice will make a child or even a teenager turn around. Not saying we're going to save all of them, but if we save one out of that group of 7, that's a victory. That is a victory. So we need to do more collectively like that. Boys and Girls Club, volunteering there. I ran into quite a few, because through the job and everything, they actually give us credit for volunteering. And there's the Good Boys and Girls Club where they got brand new facility, and the folks don't necessarily look like us, and then there's the good one, to where it's black and brown, and then a couple of white folks that couldn't get out, type of deal. And that's the one I went over because I knew they needed the most help. And just by being there, being present. Now there were some bad kids up in there, but they knew when I came in, I wasn't taking no mess. I had no problem with taking them there to the director and look, they got to stand here with you because they are ruining the class, or the class is more tutorial after school programs where we're doing, different things to try to get them to think. So that's one thing we have to do. And, if you don't have children, help out, because my boys were, I wasn't worried about my boys, they're fine, but I knew there are other boys and even some of their friends okay, I need to, talk to them. Because there are a couple of them that didn't have parents. Most of them, were fortunate to have 2-parent homes. So that's what we have to do. We have to get more involved and if you are formerly incarcerated, former drug dealers, maybe, former bank robbers, instead of getting on the radio waves and talking about the kids, and talking about I'm afraid of the kids. What happened to the street cred or the prison cred you claimed you have? Can't you leverage that in order to talk the same lingo and language, in order to turn them around, tell them what you did, that it was bad? Don't glorify it. Don't talk about the thousands of dollars you used to make and the women you used to run and everything. No, because all you're going to do is turn them on to even more of what they've done. But if we as men volunteer more, each of us knows a handful of men that we can say, hey, let's meet down. That's why y'all got Vine Street down there. Let's go to Government Square. And let's just be out here, if nothing else, just to be present. And if we see something that we know is about to jump off, just say, hey, let them know that, hey, we watching you and we love you. Don't talk down to them. Don't talk dirty to them. So, but that's what I have from that standpoint.
All right.
And a little bit of the wrestling report. Did you see Raw last night?
I did not, man. I was up at Cedar Point driving home.
Oh, that's right. You did go there. Well, let's see what happened. Oh, Jade made it to the finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament.
Okay.
She still has a lot of work to do in order to improve, be more fluid. Her look is just, there's money written all over her.
Yes.
In terms of marketability. But in the main event, it was main event Jey Uso, and he continues to make children happy, because you've seen when he comes down to the audience that he'll pick up a young boy or young girl, and they doing the whole yeet and everything, and you see the look on their face. So I'm like, that's what it's about right there, because those children will never forget that. And then the ones that are like 10 or so, he doesn't pick them up, which I'm glad he doesn't, because then that gets a little a little creepy. But he stands right there beside them, and that's what those kids look forward to him. But he went up against Cody Raheem Devon Rhodes in the main event, and back and forth using each other's finishers and everything. And your winner, Cody Rhodes. So it'd be Cody Rhodes against, I don't know who's on the other side for this weekend's. This weekend Blood Money pay-per-views, because those are the ones in Saudi, ain't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you. But they said if they didn't do those shows, it would cost them. I think I saw something that said $40 million. But
yeah, they definitely gonna do them shows.
Yeah. But that's all I got. Did you have any questions for me? I know I filibustered there for a while.
No, I don't think I have any questions for you. I have to admit, while you were talking, I was listening, but I was also looking up some information just to maybe underscore a point. Okay.
All right. Hey, will you take it easy? Oh, and it was hot as hell out there at that baseball game. It was 91 degrees. We do team building, what they call them team building events, but we'll go to it was a AAA baseball game that we went to, and I sat outside because some of them coworkers are just that. They ain't friends. They coworkers. So yeah, y'all stay in there. I'll be out here watching the game in peace.
All right.
Because ain't nothing wrong with a little peace every now and then.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, will you take it easy?
All right. You do the same. Let me see. Let's get here. All right. Sorry, I was looking up some information while he was talking. And y'all know, I like to kind of underscore the point, because a lot of times we talk about crime, in particular, black people committing crime and black youth committing crime, as if it's more black youth committing crime than not, or as if, our situation is so dire. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form scientific or some ironclad something where it's like, bet your life on what I'm about to say. But I just did a real quick search. I wanted to see in 2024 what the crime stats look like. And I didn't go to the city of Cincinnati and look up all the crime stats. I just because, I'm on air. Cincinnati.com. They have a number of the crime stats from 2024. 733 robberies in 2024. 355 people shot in 2024. 276 people charged with strangulation. Because, there's this domestic violence strangulation law thing. So they're keeping track of that. 2,809 cars stolen. 488 guns stolen. And I'm counting those separately. If I did my math right, that's 4,661 of those crimes. And we're just going to attribute every single one of them to a black youth, just for the sake of this point. I looked it up. They say in the city of Cincinnati, there's anywhere from 125,000 to 266,000 black young people. Black young people. Okay? These are just numbers that I looked up. They may or may not be 100% correct. It's fine. Hopefully it's close enough to make the point. Let's assume every one of those crimes were committed by a young black person in Cincinnati. And to make it more dramatic, I'm going to take the lower number of people. 4,661 crimes committed by somewhere in the 125,000 people range. That means if black youth committed every single one of those crimes, and the black level is the lowest estimate, that is 0.037% of black youth that are out there committing crimes. That's not 37%. That's not 0.0, it's 0.03%. It's not 1% of the black youth that are out there committing crimes. It's not 0.5%. That would be 0.5. It's 0.037%. If I did my math right, it's 0.037%. So a lot of times we talk about, the young people and all of the crimes that they committing and everything that's going on. Now, that don't count every fight that a young person might have had. Every time a young person ran down the street. It don't count everything. But that's 0.03%. Of our young people are out here committing crimes. And again, that's if they committed every crime that happened in the city of Cincinnati for the entire year of 2024. So it's not, we talk about this stuff like our kids are the devil. But the overwhelming, what would that be? Not, again, my math be off. That is 99.96% of our youth. They're not shooting people. They're not getting shot. They're not stealing cars. They're not stealing guns. They're not choking bitches. You know what I'm saying? They just probably doing what young people do. So while we talk about this stuff, and it's important to talk about and even, try to come up with some sort of solutions. I think I saw Nat Turner said, he's really just hearing micro level solutions What's the macro level solution? For the 0.037% of young black people committing literally every crime in the city of Cincinnati. Now, I bring it up because you know that number is lower because black people didn't commit every crime in the city of Cincinnati in 24. Some people were older and whiter. But I don't want to, I don't want people to have this conversation and have this mentality that this is the majority of the young black people in the city. The majority of the young black people in the hood. The majority of young black people. It's not. It's not. And so it really does become how can we save one here and there? How can we change one's mind here and there? Well, I think we need to change a lot of their minds. Now, just because you don't do it, don't mean that you don't, still kind of have that mentality. You just don't act on it. Just because you don't have that mentality, just because you don't act on it don't mean you don't. So we do need to change the mentality. I do believe music plays a part in it. I don't know, for whatever reason, I was listening to music and the messages that they're sending it's crazy. And it is different than movies. Because these people put these messages out there like they live in that lifestyle. And maybe some of them are, but some of them ain't. Some of them are not living that lifestyle. And while, they're talking about just kind of a fantasy, why are you talking about this fantasy? It would be different if people in 2025 didn't realize that their words, that the things that they say in their music and all of that kind of stuff didn't have an effect. Like if we were living in a society where, young people totally understood that the music is just like the movies. Guardians of the Galaxy ain't real. You know what I'm saying? It ain't real. They not actually doing that. When somebody gets shot in the movie, they don't actually die. They just pretend to be dead and then they say cut and then we move on because we see them, promoting the movie. Like, I thought you was dead. They brought you back to life. Like, I think for the most part, even young people realize, well, when I see something in a movie, that's not necessarily real. I mean, unless it's people promote it as if it is real. Like, this is a true life story. Then, you're like, ooh. But other than that, music, they see you in the music. They see the videos. For whatever reason, that's real to them. For whatever reason, that stuff is real to them. Like, he said he had a gun and he was willing to kill people. That ain't got a gun and he willing to kill people. He said he live in a mansion. He said he got 7 houses. That ain't got 7 houses. He said he got 32 cars. He got 32 cars. He said he always dripped in ice and whatever. I know I used that inappropriately probably because I don't live in that world and use that lingo. But no, when I see him in the videos and he got the ice and it's got to be true. He living that life when they not. All that stuff was rented for the video. But Black Lion taking his shot. Wrestling isn't real, but you've been following it your whole life. But I never thought it was real. Well, I can't say never. I think maybe when I was a little kid, I thought it was real. But by the time I was a teenager, I knew they was acting. That's why I started my own wrestling league, because I knew it was just acting and we could act. And it would be fun. I don't think it's real. But these people listening to the music, they think it's real. And sometimes it is, which is the sad part. So we do have to change mentalities. But again, we talking about this stuff like it's all of our youth. Nate says, isn't the police chief supposed to be an expert on crime and violence? Shouldn't she have the answers? What is she handsomely paid for? Why isn't she being managed by the city manager? I don't know that she's supposed to be an expert on crime. I think she's just supposed to be a manager. Blade.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Hey, man, I don't really hear enough of y'all complaining about your whining ass chief. Ever since she got in the position, she always telling people what they need to do, but nobody's telling her what she need to do. And I don't think caught that they want to use that. They use your youth trying to say they the problem, but she wants to put out that they're going to use that drone program to monitor so-called black communities.
Okay.
You don't have a problem with that?
Realistically, no. I have a problem with them just using it. If they're just going to use it to monitor black communities, I have a problem with it. But when you're in public, you don't have a right to privacy. So I used to be against, man, put cameras everywhere. Put cameras everywhere now. And if somebody picks somebody's pocket, it should be on camera and we should be able to identify them. And if they do it to everybody, I'm comfortable with that. When I walk outside, even just in my backyard, I assume the neighbor might have a camera on his house or something that can see what I'm doing. Anytime I walk out of this house, I assume I'm on somebody's camera. So I wouldn't really have a problem with it anymore.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm not talking about that. She used a false pretense talking about only black crime. She didn't talk about white crime. She didn't talk about Mexican crime. She said black youth. And then your mayor's going to come on and push the false narrative. You don't have a problem with that?
Well, I didn't hear her say black youth, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't hear her say black youth.
What crime was she talking about if she wasn't talking about black youth?
I thought she was just talking about crime.
No, she said y'all got a problem with youth in Cincinnati.
Okay, that's
and basically
youth.
She was talking about black. Basically, she was talking about black. She didn't say white.
Let me say, I believe she probably was, but I didn't recall her saying black youth is our problem. And I think that would have been a problem, but I didn't hear that being said. But again, I didn't watch the whole thing, so she might have.
But are they going on white talk shows, or are they just coming on Lincoln Ware show to talk about it?
I'm sure they're going on. Hold on, she was on Lincoln Ware show?
No, the mayor's going to be on to push that false narrative.
Well, I'm sure that they go on, 700 and say disparaging things.
I'm just asking, when she runs to the school board and run to Lincoln Ware show, do she run to the white talk shows?
Yes.
Because I don't know.
She does.
And what does she talk about? Black crime or white crime?
She talks about crime, and I would say she probably, because I can't think of any examples, but she probably does kind of characterize it as if, black people are the problem, but I don't think that she actually says that. But I can't say for sure.
Because I'm just wondering, nobody black there has a problem about they're going to push that drone program and just maybe the black community.
What is this drone program? What's the drone program? What are they planning on doing?
She said in the interview that they're going to start using drones to so-called watch crime. And I'm thinking this is me talking, that it's going to start in the black community first, since it's so-called black youth that's causing the problem in Cincinnati. Because she mentioned somewhere, a park or somewhere where the black youth hang out at or whatever.
Well, again, I'll just say I think that they should use all the technology that they can to keep people safe.
Okay, so you don't have a problem about it. This is going to start just in the black community first, not white?
Well, it's got to start somewhere, I guess.
So we always got to be the guinea pig?
Well, don't commit no crimes.
I have a problem with that.
Okay.
But you seem like you don't have a problem with it. But you've been spilling that people shouldn't just use blacks for objects. But you saying it's all right. Which one is it?
You want me to be mad about something that I'm not mad about. So I don't know what to tell you. You've asked me, I think, 4 different times, 4 different ways, and I've answered, and you want me to be mad. I'm not.
But I'm trying to be like you. You the one that said you hate when you always hear other black people saying black people are doing things that they're not doing, but they don't use white. So you're not mad about it?
No, you misunderstood what I said. I said I don't like it when black people say that black people are the only people who do whatever they're talking about. That's usually not true. In terms of, now some people are saying the drones, I guess she said the drones will be in the area of the banks, which is integrated. It's not a black neighborhood. It's the banks. There are white people down there drinking and black people down there drinking and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's why I was asking, because I didn't know. That's why I asked.
Well, you said that she said in the black community.
Well, it's basically, they're going to be watching black people. I mean, because do y'all have a problem with white people down there? Because I didn't hear it come out of her mouth. I don't ever hear it. I always hear about black youth are the problem in Cincinnati.
But you didn't hear that. You admittedly didn't hear anyone say that.
Don't you always hear that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati? You talk about it all the time. I hear it.
Well, but you you just finished saying yourself that you did not hear her say that. Right?
No, I did hear her say that. So I know that's what she's talking about.
So she did say black youth are the problem in Cincinnati.
No, she didn't exactly say black youth, but that is her pretense.
Hold on, but let's just be clear, just for me. So you did not hear her say that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati.
That's what she's saying. That's what I heard.
So that's what
she didn't say it. Listen to me.
Hold on, let's be clear. That's what you believe she
didn't say it, but that's what I heard.
So that's what you believe she means.
Ain't your whole show about people talking about black youth are the problem, but you just read a percentage that they're not the problem?
No, that's not.
Ain't that what you're talking about?
No.
What are you talking about then?
I talked a little bit about holding parents responsible and how we do that. And I did bring up the fact that I don't want people to believe that the majority of our youth are out there committing crimes, when even if I take exaggerated numbers, it would still just be a very minute part of our youth population. But no, I did not say apparently what you think I'm saying.
Even though black people or black youth are not the problem, but ain't that been what people been talking about, saying black youth are the problem, even though black youth are not the problem?
Black youth are a part of the problem. along with white youth and black older people and white older people and Asian people and everybody. I don't think any racial or age group has a monopoly on crime.
But what have we been hearing the most?
Well, apparently it's not what you've been hearing. It's what you've been believing that someone was saying, which I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I think it's important to make the distinction to say she said black youth are the problem, and I believe what she meant was black youth are the problem. Those are two very different things.
Do you think so?
I know so.
Because majority of the problem they saying is black youth.
But no one actually said that. That's just what you believe they mean when they say what they say.
Who haven't said it when only thing you hear on other shows, people talking about black youth are the problem.
Okay, I'm not even sure what we're saying anymore.
Okay, no problem, because that's the only thing we've been talking about is black youth supposed to be the problem in Cincinnati, but you're trying to say you don't believe no one said that, but that's what we're talking about.
I didn't hear anyone say it. All right. Okay. That's a matter of what somebody said versus what somebody heard. And I understand what he's saying. And they're wise enough to be able to say what they say. But I think we had to be wise enough to say what we say. But when I say you can't, I really mean you shouldn't. You can't say, she said this, if she didn't say that. It might be a small thing, but it's kind of important. Because you can't, you know what I'm saying? You have to use their words to back them into a corner. Like, sometimes people actually do say stuff that you'd be like, no, you said. I didn't say that. Here it is. You said it. Well, now you got to defend that. But if you do that and she didn't actually say it, it really kind of makes you look silly. The point that I brought up, I've already said it. The point I brought up was we shouldn't allow them, whoever they are, to convince us that our black youth are all somehow bad, or majority of them bad, or anything like that. B-Rap.
Emanuel Livingston, how you doing, my brother?
B-Rap, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. How was your Black History and everything? I mean, I said Black History. I'm sorry about that. How was your Juneteenth? Do you celebrate Juneteenth? How was all that?
Man, Juneteenth was good. Like I came on, went over to my mother-in-law's house, had a great time. Yeah. We celebrated Juneteenth and blackness and freedom and all of that good stuff.
The quick question about that, Emmanuel. Should that be celebrated? I mean, just hear me out on my question.
Okay.
It's because we were still in chains for another 2 years. So are we just celebrating, just the relief? Are we celebrating that they didn't know and somebody had to tell them? Like, what are we celebrating? And I'm not trying to be an asshole to people that's listening, and that's a genuine question.
Okay. When I'm celebrating it,
yeah,
I'm celebrating the liberation of my people, whether or not it happened on that day or even that year. I'm celebrating the liberation of my people. Matter of fact, the shirt that I had on said, you know how they have those athletic shirts and it'd be like property of, Cincinnati Bengals or whatever.
Yeah.
My shirt said property of nobody. And it had black fist with chains broken. So I'm celebrating that my people are no longer enslaved in that way.
Got you. My fault, it fell out of my hand. No, I'm hearing you. Just getting the kids together. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Thanks you, Linda. I appreciate it. No problem. See you later. No, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I was just wondering because this is about the same thing I celebrated for. I just wanted to pose that question and see what was your answer. What's up, Alex? Oh yeah. And so what is the other topic about? Youth violence?
Just it just about there is youth violence.
Yeah.
And in particular, from our perspective, there are Black young people who do engage in crime and violence. And so the question is, how can we help to bring those numbers down even further? And, some people believe that, maybe putting parents in jail if their child commits
that won't help.
crime or an infraction would be the answer.
Yeah,
Some people, believe all kind of different things. And so I'm really just trying to engage people to see what are your thoughts on the matter.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Well, putting parents in jail won't do anything because your son or daughter could tell you they just going outside. And you can even know your friend's parents or whatever, but you can't control what they get into. Even if they could come from a 2-parent household or a 1-parent household, whether it's the mother or the father, you cannot control what your son or daughter gets into. That shouldn't be up to the parents right there. And it will also put a further hindrance on especially in our community, because we already lack resources, and it would never be 0% crime if that's what people was going to think. So it could never not be crime. Whether going to the music, like you said earlier, and I always preach this. You probably heard me say this 1,000 times before, but when it comes to the music and entertainment, all that, and the government, they all work hand in hand to present a certain type of narrative that they want people to see, to present agendas that they want to push, because jail and prison is a business, and the only way you could keep a business running is to have people patron that business. And yes, prison is a business. People make money off people being in prison. So you have to push something to keep the prison doors open for people to go in there. Now with the jail reform that they have going on, it isn't a good thing to where people think jail reform is they're going to be letting prisoners out of jail. Jail reform is to make it more comfortable and to make it look more entertaining. So when kids look at people in jail, they could be like, oh, well, I see him in jail with a cell phone. I seen him in jail playing a video game. Now they got YouTube videos of they showing people in jail and they cell looking like studio apartments, and they in prison. So it's by design to keep, especially the Black youth, thinking that, oh, it's cool to commit this crime, and prison ain't nothing. I ain't afraid of jail. So yeah, no, it's bigger than us, because we can have all the resources. Well, we barely have any, but with the resources that we have to do prevention, sometimes it still can't work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you from the inner city and you come up around people, you have to act a certain type of way or sound a certain type of way in order to look cool. If you don't dress like this, then you're lame. If you don't go to this sort of school, then you're not cool. So it starts from, we have to get rid of that aspect of it to where that, I could be able to wear a pair of, some type of shoe and not get ridiculed at school because I don't have Jordans, or then you want to be like, oh man, I need to make this money. And, so it's deep. Like, it gets real heavy. Like, did you follow me, man? I'm saying a mouthful.
I kind of followed you. You lost me for a minute. But here's my question. You do acknowledge, just looking at black youth culture, I'm gonna say in particular, in the cities, that there is an issue there, right?
Yeah, black youth culture is an issue in every major city in the United States of America. Not just here in Cincinnati, in Baltimore, San Francisco, Miami, New York.
Right.
Everywhere there's an inner city of black youth kids, there's a problem.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why is there a problem? Well, hold on. First, what is the problem? When you look at it, you said in all these major cities, what is the problem?
The problem is presentation. The problem is lack of, in our neighborhoods, we can't knock on the door. Our neighbors are not doctors. Our neighbors are not lawyers. Our neighbors are not engineers. So a lot of black youth can't vision themselves being that, because I can't go across the street and knock on the lawyer's door. My uncle isn't a doctor. I don't have a connection in this field to become an engineer. So if you don't see it, you don't think you can become it.
Really?
That's where the problem stems at.
Hold on. I don't necessarily want to say challenge you on this, but you genuinely believe that if I don't see in my neighborhood a talk show personality, that I don't believe I can ever become a talk show personality. If I don't see a doctor, I don't believe I can become a doctor. I haven't, I'm not sure what you do for a living, but you're saying
I drive a bus.
So you had to have a bus driver live in your community to believe that you could become a bus driver?
That's not, anybody can be a bus driver. Like, that's not,
anybody can be a doctor or a lawyer. And you didn't have to have one live across the street from you.
But they don't vision themselves as that. They can't see that because they don't see it. Like, you get what I'm saying? These kids that's 13, 14, 15, they want money. So they have great entrepreneurial mindsets. They want money. Go ahead, Alexander. I'll be in there. That's what they talking about. So they could easily get a blue collar job, and that's great. Like, don't get me wrong, but we as a community need to see more of our children aspiring to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, even teachers, even though that's not a high salary and they go to school every day. A lot of these kids can't even see themselves becoming teachers.
But I don't think that that's because they don't see them in their neighborhood. Like, I could be wrong. Look, I could be wrong. I just don't believe that the reason that people don't become doctors is because they don't live in the neighborhood with a doctor. I think, maybe you're right. They don't see themselves doing it, but it's not because they don't see it, because we see it all over the place. I mean, the neighborhood, especially with the advent of social media, what you see out there, the sky is the limit, because we see us doing all kinds of things. I think it's less of what we see and more the kind of chains that are put on our brains from wherever in terms of what we can become. If our parents don't ever tell us you can be anything that you want to be, if our people around us, like it used to be a time when counselors would tell people like, nah, you probably shouldn't even go to college. Just go and learn how to be a mechanic. That's all you good enough to do. When things like that happen, I think that stops us from seeing our potential. But I don't think it's because we don't live next door or in the neighborhood. You can't go down the street and say, hey, that's Dr. So-and-so's house. I don't think that's the case.
I could, I could agree with that sentiment, and I could be wrong as well. But a lot of these kids, they don't see anything. They only be in the confines of their neighborhood or in Cincinnati, Ohio. What they see is everything on television, and the majority what they see on television and on the internet is negative. Like, don't get me wrong, that's a great argument you just presented to me, and I can't agree with that. But at the same time, if you seen a guy from the neighborhood and he stayed in the neighborhood, and I'm talking about the inner city neighborhood, and he had a nice car, and he was friendly with the people in the community, and you could be like, oh man, that's Dr. Johnson. A lot of youth will go to Dr. Johnson's house and be marble, or man, that's a nice car, Dr. Johnson. How you get that? Well, this is what I had to do. This is the people I met. This is the people who I met. This is the school I go to, because most of the time people get opportunities through networking. And if you networking in a small confine of, guys that think about drug dealing or, think guns is cool or stuff in that nature, that's going to be your network, your network. And your net, what they say, your network is your net worth. So I'm just saying that in these schools, instead of always bringing athletes to the inner city schools, they can bring more lawyers or engineers, or even, like you said, mechanics. Even I go up there and talk to some students as a bus driver. E-Man, you could talk to some students at school about being a radio host, a DJ, a disc jockey. People that could talk to people about working behind the scenes at this company. It's other avenues that these kids don't know about that they could become, but it's just like it's like they're kind of stuck sometimes.
I understand. I think I understand what you're saying.
I'm trying to break it down.
Yeah, I think I think I get what you're saying, and I think to some degree I agree with it. I don't agree necessarily that you got to see a doctor to be a doctor. Okay, I don't agree with that.
I mean, but I understand what you're saying on that aspect as well. But if the kids don't see it, they're like, man, how can I become a doctor? I could tell any child out here they could be anything they want to be. I could go up to a 5-year-old and be like, man, you could become a doctor. I could go to a 15-year-old and be like, man, you could become a doctor. But when he goes to the actual hospital for a minor injury, he don't see anybody that looks like him. His doctor, not even a kid from the inner city, it could be a kid that's living in a middle class with a 2-parent household. His doctor will not more than likely not look like him. Not be a black person, not say I'm from the hood. I came up out of these circumstances. I didn't change the way I spoke. I didn't change the way I dressed. I didn't change the way I acted. All I did was put my mind to it and became something. So it's kind of hard for me to go up to a 15-year-old, especially in the hood, and be like, man, you could be a doctor. He's going to look at me crazy like, bro, I need money now. How can I be like that? Like, and I can be like, little bro, you 15, you got your life ahead of you. This is how you study, do this and the other. But he looking at me as a bus driver. How this bus driver going to tell me I could be a doctor? He don't know nothing. I see my boy on the block right now with $1,000 cash on him he just made within the past 30 minutes. That's what this bus driver is talking about. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's designed it's a design. Like we in the Matrix, man. I don't mean to hold you. Like my thoughts are holding you.
No, I think I agree, and Shannon said it. I agree. Again, I don't think you need to see that, personally, but I do think it's important to expose young people to, more career opportunities and, just to see what's out there. And, that don't necessarily mean them living in your neighborhood, but there are people who they really don't believe that they can achieve sometimes until they realize that there are people who came from their situation who did achieve. So I agree with you from that standpoint. Not that they have to live in your neighborhood, but you have to know that it exists sometimes, and even just in order to have the interest to try.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what's up. Well, I ain't gonna hold the line up too long, man. I appreciate you taking my phone call, And
All right.
And plus, I just started and plus, man, I'm 41. You know what I mean? I'm chasing on things I like to do. I just started me a podcast with my partner, and I don't know any podcasters. This is something that I just went out on a leap of faith, and I'm trying to do. And I'm going to succeed at it.
Now, is this podcast about the struggles of the bus driving community?
Yeah, it's a podcast about the struggle, about these people getting on the bus complaining about they ain't got no damn bus fare.
Please don't think I was trying to be funny. I was really serious because I know that there are people who don't understand. People see a bus driver and they just think, he just drive a bus. But the experiences that you guys might have and be able to relate to people, it could be very valuable.
Bus drivers here in the city, we in Cincinnati, Ohio, we are like maybe on a pay scale, like top 5 when it comes to pay scale to people around the country. We have drivers that literally make 6 figures after taxes. And some people might think that's a cap. I'm no BS. Me, myself, I made 6 figures last year, but after taxes, it came up to probably about $80,000 after taxes. But with my overtime and, you know what I'm saying, working my off days, you can make 6 figures at this job, with some nice grinding. But regularly, if you just work your steady 40 hours, because a bus driver don't work 40 hours. You always want to work overtime. But just with 40 hours regularly, that's just 40 hours, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. You can make up to $68,000 a year. That's just without overtime. A lot of people be like, oh, that's not enough money, da-da-da-da-da. You got your fake millionaires and your fake gurus on here. But, that's just what it is. That's, what I mean? But I just don't work you will never work at top pay. You will never work a straight 40 hours. That's just impossible at top pay to make 68 to 70,000. You're always, as a bus driver, going to make 75,000 or more a year, and that's just driving a bus. A lot of people are like, oh, that ain't enough money. A lot of people who say that's not enough money probably is not even making that type of money a year.
Right.
But the podcast that I have with my partner I met at Ohio Media School, we just right now it's just about uplifting the people. We talk about positive things. We talk about what our classmates doing with media, and just a little bit of gossip here and there. But it's just the first season, and we probably got like 8 or 9 episodes we're going to do, and then we're going to take it off campus. So one day, man, I would like for you to come on the podcast, if you don't mind, bro.
Anytime. Just let me know.
That's what's up. Nah, I'm not trying to, and me trying to say that I'm not trying to flex, because a job is a job, and people, no matter what career field you're in, you're never going to be a millionaire working the job, period. The only way you're going to be a millionaire is you own something with multiple sources of income.
Oh, that's not true.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. I'm just talking about the public sector. If you're going to be a millionaire working in a public sector, that's not for the private sector. You're right. That's not true at all. But yeah, it's not a flex trying to say, oh, bus drivers make a lot of money. Da 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 da. No, you have to start out. It's a grind when you start off. You're not going to start off making that kind of money, but you got to work your way up to it. And right now, some people, like I said, is making six figures. But anyway, man, I'm not gonna hold you, man. I appreciate the time, man.
All right. Hey, take it easy.
That's what's up, man. Hey, thanks a lot.
Tell Alexander I said what's up.
Oh yeah, he in there getting his haircut. I got you, big bro. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
All right. I think it was it wasn't Ed. It was Walter. Was it Walter? Who brought up? I was actually about to bring that up. That the Cosby Show and A Different World inspired a lot of young people to do things. I know. She's a judge now. I know a person who the reason that she decided to become a lawyer was because of Claire Huxtable. And she went to school and became a lawyer and then a judge because of Claire Huxtable. So we can be influenced. And I think when media is at its best is when it's doing something positive. So if the music and the TV shows and the movies that we gravitated towards were more positive and uplifting, I believe it would have an effect. But they said, I was watching some whatever about A Different World, and they said, I don't remember the number, but that the enrollment in HBCUs when A Different World came on jumped like some astronomical number. Like it doubled or it tripled or quadrupled or whatever. I don't remember what the number was, but that enrollment in HBCUs really shot up. But that's because there was something, because we as people are influenced by media. And if you can put it out there and that can inspire people, and again, this judge I'm talking about didn't have a judge or a lawyer that lived in her neighborhood. She saw it on TV. And she said, I want to be like Claire Huxtable. And it ain't like Claire Huxtable did a lot of lawyering stuff on the show. We just knew she was a lawyer. She wore suits and, with skirts, I believe. I don't ever think I've seen her in a pantsuit, but maybe. And carried her little briefcase. We didn't see her in court arguing cases, but the fact that you knew Claire was a lawyer made somebody want to be a lawyer. I don't know anybody, but I can almost get. But the fact that Dr. Huxtable was a doctor made somebody want to go be a doctor. And if we had more uplifting stuff like that, you don't necessarily need them in your neighborhood. But just like you got these people influencing people to get guns and rob people and kill people and have sex and all kind of debauchery. That medium could be used for something different. Because, it's clear that media is influential. It's clear. Like, I don't know that there's any debate about it. Media is influential. But the people who run the media companies also understand that the media is influential. And so, a lot of times we blame, which some of the blame has to go to, we blame the artists. But the artists are, they're not. I know people think they are. The artists don't determine what they do. There ain't no record company telling you to make no song about drugs. Yeah, but if you're not making the music that they want to put out, they just won't sign you or they won't put your music out. They got that authority. And then once it becomes a popular thing, then yeah, you gonna have some independents that want to do this. But if it became popular to put out music that promoted positivity, it would have an influence. It would. Samuel says she did argue a case while Cliff was in the courtroom. A case. I'm saying the show was not about the lawyer, Claire Huxtable. The show was about, if anything, the mother, Claire Huxtable, who happened to be an attorney. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. It's almost 6 o'clock. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. Diane says, yep, school days was for me. I went to Wilberforce briefly. Ended up at NKU. Yeah, those things are influential. Now, I can't say that any of that stuff is. I don't really know. I'm sure I was influenced by stuff. But I can't really say with 100% certainty, like, oh yeah, I went to HBCU because of a different world. I didn't. Dante.
How you doing, hey man?
Dante, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. Hey, I just wanted to say a couple of things, and I'm gone. I don't know how to let this out, but why do we act like how you said? Well, she didn't say that black youth was the problem, and she's not going to come out and say that because she's an elected official. But we know who she's talking about. We know who the kids were that ran through Woodlawn last week causing a disturbance. We know who the kids are that was just down on the banks for Juneteenth acting the fool. No, I'm not saying that they're the only ones, but we know who they're talking about. Let's quit acting like, well, she didn't say. Man, we know who she's talking about. She's not going to say it because she's in the city manager and all the mayor. They're not going to specifically say black teenagers. But we know who they're talking about, man. We know who they're talking about. Dante. The same thing with the drones, man. We know what they're going to be looking for. We know what they're going to be looking for. Let's not sit and pretend like, well, she didn't actually say that. Man, we know what they mean, man. That's where we need to stop playing the game at.
Dante, can I say something?
Sure.
It's important to distinguish between what was said and what was meant. So if you come on here and you say, she said black youth are the problem in Cincinnati, then yes, I'm going to ask you, did she say that?
She's not going to say that, though. Man, she's not going to say that.
So then don't say that she...
who's been the problem, Emmanuel?
Hold on, Dante.
Who's been the problem?
Dante.
Who has they made the problem out to be? We need to quit playing these childish games, man.
Dante.
You playing childish... This is a childish tit-for-tat game, man.
Dante. If she didn't say it, don't say that she said it. If you believe that's what she meant, you can say that that's what she meant, but don't say that she said it. This is
a pointless conversation because we know who was just on the news.
Dante.
We know who the kids were that was just on the news. Let's quit playing these childish games, man.
Dante, it's very.
We know what they're highlighting, man. They're not highlighting these Caucasian schools and all the other crap. We know what they're talking about, man.
For real, you just gonna holler over me? That's what we doing.
We ain't gonna never get nowhere.
Hold on, that's what we doing? You just gonna holler over me?
I'm not hollering.
You don't think that's hollering?
No, I'm not hollering. I'm not hollering at all.
I don't. We have different definitions of hollering, but
hollering or whatever. The point is.
Hold on. You said your point. Now let me illustrate my point. If you say that someone said something. If someone actually said that, you can hold their feet to the fire, right? When he said, the chief said that young black people are the problem in Cincinnati, I was ready because that you can hold their feet to the fire. Now, I didn't hear her say that. So then if I go down there trying to hold her feet to the fire, and I'm like, the chief said that the problem in Cincinnati is young black people. She said it on June 24th at a press conference. She clearly stated that young black people are the problem in Cincinnati. All she got to say is, I never said that.
I understand that point. That's not the point that I'm making.
Don't understand
the point
that because
that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that we know who she's referring to, who they're speaking in reference of. We know who it is. We can play dumb all we want about she didn't say it, but we know who she's talking about.
Dante, I was talking. Let me talk. I didn't interrupt you. Again, my point is, we have to be wise in the way that we combat even what you perceive as some sort of a racist statement. So it's important to be accurate when you say things. Would you not agree?
Yes, I agree, but that's not the point that I'm making. You're explaining a point that I'm not making. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we know who has been in the news. We know who they are talking about. We know who they are targeting. We know, for instance, like they said, I think 8 people got shot last week. We know who they're targeting. Even though they're not specifically saying that too, we know who they're talking about because that's who's in the news.
Who?
So why are we playing this game like, well, she didn't say it? Well, we know who they're talking about because that's who they've been targeting. That's who all the news stories has been about. So why would you even think that they're talking about somebody else? You would have to be a fool to think that.
You still don't think you hollering?
No, I'm not hollering.
Okay. The reason, well, I'm not even going to go over the reason again. If you don't understand the reason why words are important, then that's on you.
I'm not.
Now,
all right, man. Okay, all right, bro. You play games, bro.
All right. He don't understand. Words are important. Words are important. Now, again, I get it. Y'all believe that this is what she's talking about. I believe it's probably what she's talking about too. But it's important to be accurate. It's important to be accurate. To have accurate information is important. I don't understand how people don't believe that. If I got on here and said, hey, the chief went on her press conference today and she called all black people N-words. Like, she did what? Well, she was saying some stuff about black people and I didn't like it and I felt like she wanted to call them N-words. That's greatly different. Words are important. It's not a game. It's not a game. So what's wrong with being accurate? Now, if you believe, because he said something, I really wanted to get to it, but he couldn't get past the fact that words are important. I wanted to get to it. He kept saying, he said a couple of times in that conversation that, hey, black people was the ones running in Woodlawn. Black youth were the ones running in Woodlawn. And y'all know I keep going back to that. So now we want it to be illegal for black youth to run? My thing is, we believe, the chief meant that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati. Actually, we think that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati. And we're buying into the idea that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati. I mean, even just listen to what he said. Black youth was the ones running around in Woodlawn. Black youth was the one to be down on the banks causing the problems. Black youth was the one down at the did he say the Black Family Union, Juneteenth or whatever down. He believes that black youth is the problem. So he had a problem with the chief believing it because it's what he already believes. I'm sorry, and I might be naive. Do I believe that what I've been talking about the whole show, that sometimes there are groups of young black people that do things that they ain't got no business doing. They do them at the wrong time, and it causes problems? Sure. I can't deny that at all. But I don't believe black youth as a whole are the problem in Cincinnati. And if they fly drones over the banks, great. We got now access to footage to show all kinds of misdeeds done by everybody. But they only gonna use the footage to get black. Okay, but that's where we can step up and we can request that footage. You know, you got a right to do that. And you can look through that footage and find other issues. Dante says, that's not what I said. And no, I don't believe that. Don't put words in my mouth. Dante, if you hadn't have been hollering and screaming and been able to conduct yourself like, you know, a regular human and us have a conversation, then I would have a much clearer understanding of what it is that you were trying to say. But you were too absorbed with your own anger to have a conversation. So now this is what you get. Just like what you're saying, well, you know, this is what she meant because it's what you believe. I get to say, you know, this is what he meant because it's what I believe. And apparently the accuracy of the statement don't matter. Interesting when that happens. You think it's okay for somebody to say the chief said this when she didn't say it, even though you think that's what she meant. But you don't want me to say what I think you meant because you didn't say it. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm playing games when I say don't put words in her mouth. Just tell me what she said. But it's not playing games when you say don't put words in my mouth. That's what I'm talking about. You want me to accurately say what you said. And then it's okay for me to say what I think you meant. We should have that same standard for everybody. This stuff ain't that hard. The chief said this. This is what I think she meant. This stuff is not that hard. Some of y'all don't play in the media pool. But in the media pool, and I'm telling you what I've seen and heard and still hear. If I listened to what Blade said, and then I called into 700, because some of this stuff is a battle of ideas, right? It's a battle of ideas. And so I call over to 700, and I tell 700, did you watch that press conference yesterday? Did you hear when the chief said black youth are the problem in Cincinnati? You know what they gonna say to me? Just take a guess. What you think they gonna say to me? The chief never said that. And I'm gonna be like, yes, she did. I was doing my show yesterday, and I had a couple callers call in and say the chief said that black youth was the problem in Cincinnati. And they gonna pull up the clip. And they going to play the chief saying whatever the chief said. And say, now you tell me where in there did you hear her say that black youth are the problem in Cincinnati? And then I'm going to be sitting there looking stupid. And whatever good point I might have made up to then, it all go out the window. Why? Because I said that she said something that she didn't say. Come on, man. It's not playing games. How hard is it to be accurate and say, this is what she said? That's not hard. I've heard it the opposite way. I've heard people making points and, on 700. So-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And then somebody call in and say, that's not what was said. Here is actually what was said. And they had to back off. Because now that whole narrative that they were trying to paint is shot because somebody called them on. You got to play. Man, y'all don't play in the media pool. Again, this is media, and we're talking about influencing. This stuff sounds crazy until you think about the fact that how many people listen to talk radio and podcasts and all of that kind of stuff. How many people listen to this stuff and is influenced by it? This is a, I'm going to say game. This is a game of influence to win the hearts and minds of people, to convert people who believe nonsense into, and how far do you get using inaccurate information? Right, Shannon, or Pamela. I would look like, as she say, boo-boo the fool. The chief said this when she didn't say it. It's not a game. Who you think she talking about? I think she talking about black youth. That's not what she said. And that was the point that I was bringing up with Blade. Genesis, she was very careful not to say black youth. Right. And why do you think she was very careful not to say it? So somebody couldn't say that she said it. Then y'all want to come on here talking about she said it, but she didn't. And then be mad at me because I'm like, no, she didn't say that. If she didn't say that, don't say she said that. You got to be very much aware of what you're saying. Now, do I believe that maybe she believes that and that's what she meant? But again, Dante, based on what you were saying, black people was the ones running through Woodline, and black people the ones down on the banks causing the problems, and black people this. Sound like you believe it. Pamela says she knew to choose and use her words wisely. So why can't we understand that? Let me take that back. Some of us don't seem to understand why that's important. You ain't never been watching CNN, Abby Phillips? And somebody say something crazy, and you'd be like, you just said this, and then they spend the whole rest of the segment trying to walk it back. Or somebody have a great point, and then they misquote something, and then somebody be like, you don't even know the information that you're trying to quote. And it totally blow their whole point out the water. And I know y'all think, oh, them shows is just for entertainment and all that good stuff. No, I mean, yes, but no. Those shows are actually influencing the way people think. That's why you see little clips of them all over the place. Just like the movies, just like the music, the whole news media segment of society is very influential. That's why you get those white people calling in the Lincoln Ware show telling you what they heard on Fox as if it were factual. And y'all, what happens when they call in and say, Joe Biden said so-and-so, and Joe Biden didn't say that. And then Lincoln can play the clip and be like, no, this is what Joe Biden said. What happens to their argument? It gets blown up. But that's what they heard on Fox or OAN or whatever the other one is. I don't know why I can't ever think of the other one. Tanika say sound like Scott Jennings. Right. And it's important. It's important. I don't know why I'm spending this much time on this. Just because I want to underscore. It's important that you understand that they don't spend that much time being careful about what they say for no reason. They do it because they want you to say that they said something that they didn't say. Shelly?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, Shelly?
I'm all right.
Shelly, hold on. Before we even start, are we going to have a good conversation today?
Sure, why not?
All right.
So I've got some food for thought
All right.
as far as the black youth in Cincinnati.
Oh.
Okay, every program is targeting black youth. And there's certain things that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, like the county commissioners. Like, for example, you know the Commission on Women and Girls?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
The county has that Commission on Women and Girls. I mean, it's targeted towards black girls, but I don't know, to teach them how to be women. I don't really know what they do, but that's just another program that targets black youth that I don't agree with. But they take that program, the girls and the black and the women.
Wait. Hold on. Before you go any further, and remember where you are. Just put a bookmark right there, okay? You're telling me that the county does not have any programs that don't target black youth?
I'm saying, well, there's a reason for it.
Wait, hold on. Before you tell me the reason, is that the claim that you're making? Like, if I go and find all of the programs that the county has, they all target black youth, is what you're saying. There's none that target anything other than black youth. That's what you're saying.
When the words underserved, underrepresented, when those words are used, right, or a minority population, who else are they targeting?
I'm asking a simple question. This is like a yes or no question. Are you telling me that the county, Hamilton County, has no programs that don't target black youth? Is that what you're saying, yes or no?
I'm just going to say no. For sake of conversation, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because that's not where the money's at. You only get money for youth when you are serving minority populations, underserved populations, underrepresented populations, such and such. And it goes all the way to the grant money from the feds. Okay? But here's the thing I'm going to get at.
All right.
The county is sending the Commission on Women and Girls into, 16 Cincinnati public schools to teach black boys how to be men. Now, stuff like that sounds good in theory, but we don't know who these people are that are going into the schools. Now, factor in all of these other resources. They love to use the word resources, services. They're sending all kinds of nonprofits into the schools that are having contact with these children. We don't know what they're putting in their head. There's mental health shit that they're sending into the schools. Like this one guy, what's his name? I know his name. He was my son's principal. Anyways, he's a social worker. He was a principal. He owns some kind of mental health for youth nonprofit that's worth millions, okay? Millions. He contracts with Cincinnati Public Schools. He contracts with the county. He contracts with Cincinnati Children. But here's the thing. He's offering, telehealth, right? That you can have these therapeutic classrooms for your child and blah, blah, blah. So he's billing Medicaid, right? But he's also getting county money. He's also, getting all kinds of grant money and everything else. But nobody's doing checks and balances to see how are the kids reacting to this stuff. Who are the parents giving consent? There are over 100 nonprofits that are going into our schools, targeting. I won't say black. If you want to say black, you can, but underserved, minority, underrepresented children.
But you
Okay,
actually did say black, so don't try to put it on me. You said it.
We're talking
But
about black youth, and Cincinnati Public's what, 70% black, 10% white, and the rest are immigrants, something like that. I mean,
I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head.
Okay, well, we're talking about black youth. I'm giving a perspective of nobody's keeping track of who has contact with the children all throughout their day when they're in the school. Nobody, and they have a bounty on their head. There's millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around for programs on starvation. It's like, why are we funding companies to employ underserved youth? We're paying the salaries for these kids to go work for these companies. That's retarded.
Wait, hold on. I'm not understanding the point that you're trying to make.
Obviously, if any of these initiatives were working, we wouldn't have the problems that we have. You know, the problem is they're getting into these kids' heads and they're driving them crazy.
Wait, hold on. Shelly. Who is the they that are getting into these youths' heads and driving them crazy?
I just said, like, a lot of them are nonprofits, but then you got the women on commission and girls, right? I mean, it's not. I can look it all up real quick, but I'm just trying to tell you that they're targeting black youth because that's where, number one, the money's at. That's where the funding is at. There's no reason to solve any problem because if they solved the problems, then there wouldn't be any problem to solve, and we wouldn't need to charge taxpayers more money to solve these problems. Like the overdoses. You know they're down 50%, but Hamilton County's still throwing money at addiction. Now they're throwing money at black youth that are addicted to opiates.
Does that exist? Hold on.
Thing? Isn't that a white thing?
Shelly, does addiction still exist?
What? Has it ever not existed?
That's not an answer to my question. Does addiction still exist?
No, people are not dropping dead like they used
to. Addiction does not exist anymore.
Why throw more money at a problem that's going away?
We've conquered addiction? That's what you're telling me?
The numbers are lower than they were before the crisis.
That wasn't my question. My question wasn't about are the numbers lower or are the numbers higher. My question was, does addiction still exist? And you said no.
No, not like, does it exist to the extent that we need to keep
Does it exist? My question was, does it exist in Hamilton County? Does it exist?
Does it exist to the point where we didn't have
No, you keep trying to add stuff to it. Does it exist?
Yes, it exists, but not to the point where you got to go into the schools.
So, wait, Shelly. If addiction does still exist, do you feel like people who are suffering with addiction are not valuable enough to receive help?
No, I think that it's a health issue, and I don't think they should be in care pods. I think they should be in hospitals. We also fund the hospital.
Hold on. So you're saying people who are suffering from addiction, they're still valuable enough to need help?
Yes, my brother was an addict. My brother went to prison for 6 years. He was a heroin addict.
And this is what I'm trying to understand about your call. There are people out here who need services and resources. But it sounds to me like what you're saying, what you're meaning is we should not offer services and resources to the people out here who need them.
Not what I said.
Because,
let me give you an example.
Because they may be black.
Listen, the 2,000 homeless students, right?
Are you asking me if your information is correct? I don't know.
No, I know this because I watched the meetings. But here's an example. You have the 2,000 homeless kids in Cincinnati Public. That's 2,000 homeless kids. We already know the majority of them are black families. Now, we know when you got to move around and stuff, it affects your schoolwork, it affects your attitude, it affects your friends, it affects all of it. So we don't need all this mental health and blah, 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 blah shit. We just need to make sure they stay in their home, right?
That would require services and resources.
But they have to be appropriate. You have to do a return on investment. Is what we're investing in getting results? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Is it?
No, it's not.
Well, apparently, hold on. You said earlier that addiction was down or opioid deaths or whatever was down 50%. That's what you said, right?
Okay, well, is that because of services? Give me a break.
Well, hold on. So then why just half of the people magically just stop being addicted?
They all died. They're dead.
Wait, so you believe half of the people just died, and so now we're stuck with the half that didn't die?
Actually, I believe a lot of them weren't addicted. You know, people go through stuff in life. Like when in college, my roommates did ecstasy. They're not doing ecstasy in their 40s. No, I don't think the government needs to be involved in every little aspect, especially family life. I
Okay.
think the government
Wait a minute. Wait. Because this is, I don't understand it.
At what point do you not have too many services?
Wait, the last time you called, you were distraught about the fact that your son wasn't getting the appropriate amount of services and resources. But now you are saying that there shouldn't be services and resources. So do you believe that your child should have gotten services and resources, but then when he was done with them, services and resources should have just gone away?
Right. Transportation to school. That's a service. He should get transportation to school and so should every child in Cincinnati. They all should get transportation. That's important.
That wasn't the services that you were talking about that your son needed, because you said your son wasn't getting the resources that he deserved. That he was getting transportation.
First of all, there's a difference between policy and law. Okay, all this stuff that I'm talking about right now are policy stuff. There are federal laws, there are Medicaid laws, there are Medicaid waivers. Special needs is a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
Oh, so special needs people still need services, but everybody else, they don't need services.
No, they do. They need to be appropriate. They need to be. Here's an example. My son has special needs. We should have never shut down county special needs schools. You take my son who's special needs and put him in a regular classroom in Cincinnati Public. Now, that affects the entire class. That affects the teacher.
But maybe, Shelly, maybe somebody looked at the return on investment and they said having these special needs schools isn't benefiting us as much as we would like them to. So they got rid of that service, which would go along with what you want to see happen.
And they forced all those kids into public schools without
That's a good thing, right?
Families. Okay, so you're willing to let. You want an entire class not to learn for one student. That's not fair.
But hold on. If the return on investment wasn't there for the services for the school for special needs kids, according to you, it should be eliminated, right?
No, they cannot meet the needs of the special needs kids, and they're failing the regular kids by putting them all together.
But according to you, it's more important that the county do an assessment in terms of whether or not there's a good return on their investment. And if there was not a good return on their investment, they should have gotten rid of the services, right?
I sued Cincinnati Public because they weren't meeting my son's needs, and I won.
Oh.
Okay? So the point is that's affecting the other kids. The immigrant families, they make sure their kids get what they need. Take it for what it is. I'm just telling you that people need to pay attention to what the county is doing, who has access to our children. Okay, like the therapy dog. Oh, let's send a therapy dog into the schools. Well, who's the human accompanying that dog? Maybe I don't want that human around my kids. I don't know. We don't know what they're telling these kids. If you keep, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, fine. So you're okay with the Commission on Women and Girls going into like 15 Cincinnati public schools to teach young black youth boys how to be men?
I'm okay with, but hold on, let me just answer your question. First, I don't know if they're doing that, but let's just say they are for the sake of argument. Sure, yes.
Okay, so you're okay with it. So if a parent's not okay with it, they don't have a say. You're okay with the parent not having a say in it?
Don't allow them to teach your child.
You don't have a choice in the matter.
Of course you do.
How would you even know if they're not even informing you?
Wait, how do you?
Nobody even knows this is happening.
Hold on, just so that I understand, because I'm ignorant here. Just so that I understand, are you trying to convince me that they are forcefully holding young black men against them and their parents' wills to teach them how to be men? That a group of women are going into the school, forcing young black males against their will to learn how to be men. That's what you're telling me.
So it's inadvertently. Here we're going in here for this. They don't have a choice.
And wait a minute. So again, so you're saying they're holding them against their will. They can't leave.
Well, no, they'd get in trouble. Number one.
Oh.
And a parent would have to know what's going on to do anything about it. A parent would either say, "Hey, what are they teaching him? What is in the curriculum?"
Can the parent say, "Hey"?
What certifies them to even be working with children?
Can the parent say? Again, just assuming that this is happening, which I have no actual information of this, but just for me, hypothetically speaking, can a parent say, however they're doing it, I don't want my child to participate in that? Can a parent do that?
So. I would hope so.
No, not hope. How are you coming to me with the information, telling me that this is happening against people's wills, but you don't know
It's not. You're not going
what's
to
going
make it
on?
happen without a fight. I mean, there's going to be a fight. They're probably called 2 for 1 kids on you because you don't want your kid. You don't want your. Here's what they'll say.
They'll
You don't want your son to learn how to
we're
be
into
a man,
probabilities.
right?
I don't know if you're right.
So if you pull your kid out, then people are going to say, well, you don't want your son to be a man. You don't want your son to know how to act in society if you don't let us, these women and girls who we don't know what their backgrounds are.
Have you done
what their
this? Have you seen an
are.
example of this happening?
It was just at a recent county commissioner meeting. Yes, they were announcing how the women and girls are going into Cincinnati public schools to teach young black boys how to be men and act in society.
And at that meeting, they said, but there are some parents who don't want it. And when they say that they don't want it, we say, oh, so you don't want your child to grow up to be a man?
They're not going to announce that.
Then
Hold on,
that was the question.
Right?
I asked, had you seen that happening? And you said, yeah, I was just at a county commissioner meeting where, and you went on to say it, the question was about whether or not they're allowed to pull their children or to say they don't want their children to deal with it.
What? You make a really good point.
So you just chose to not answer the question.
They have to be black people. Go tell them, commissioners, when you do stuff like this, when you initiate things like this, you need to let parents know that they can opt out. You need to let parents know. That's a really good point, actually.
Now, based on, and I'll go through, Shelly, and I'll go through and do a little bit more research myself. But based on the,
I'll let you know the date that they announced at the meeting.
Hold on, Shelly. Based on the last,
you should let everybody know what you can do and what you can't do.
Now you're gonna yell over me too,
stuff like that.
Shelly. Based on the last information that I had, the people who get the most services from Hamilton County are white.
The thing is, here's the deal: ain't nobody getting no services. The money's being laundered.
But wait a minute. Hold on, Shelly. Now you're just not making sense.
Every single nonprofit that they mention
you're not making sense, Shelly.
I look up their tax information.
Shelly?
They've all doubled and tripled their revenue since 2022. Every single one of them. Ain't nobody getting no services.
Shelly,
that's the point.
Shelly, first, that wasn't your point. Your point was that all the services are going to black people. That was your point. And now when I bring up the fact that the last information that I had is that the majority of services and resources from Hamilton County go to white people, now nobody's getting services.
Oh my God, are you a Virgo?
What?
Or a Libra?
Am I what?
You just like to argue.
I'm asking a simple question.
Two things can be right. Yes, there are things that are happening, but when it comes down to it, when it comes to services
hold on.
that actually
Two things can't be right if they're completely opposed to one another.
Housing. Are people okay? Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
Yes.
You're making my head spin.
Because hold on, Shelly, just listen for a second. You can't tell me all of the services in Hamilton County are going to black youth. And then in the same breath, hold on, Shelly, can I get it out?
Yeah.
You can't tell me that all the services in Hamilton County are going to black youth. And then when I point out that the last I heard, the majority of the services and resources that Hamilton County provides go to white people, say, well, no, nobody's getting services. So either one of these things is true. Either services are being rendered and they're only being rendered to black youth, or no services are being like they can't both be true at the same time. I think there's another option that there are. Let me finish, Shelly, and then I'm going to give you the floor. I think that there's another option. I think the other option is the majority of services that Hamilton County provides go to white people. Some services that the county provides do go to youth, probably evenly divided between black and white youth. And you just don't like the fact that there are black people getting resources that you probably would rather see go to white people.
I don't like that they're being extorted, number one, okay? Like, I keep telling you, I don't care. It's not about black or white. It's about all children, number one. It's about dirty, corrupt politicians, number two. And as far as, like, services and resources, it has to be something that you need. And you can go into other agencies, too. You've got DDS. You've got JFS. You've got the Veterans Commission, right? The Veterans Commission had, like, $28-something million. They only spent like $1 million. They literally helped like 9 veterans last year. They helped like 9 veterans. They're funding all these services, but only 9 veterans actually were served.
Hold on. Can you pause there?
Where's on the commission. That's why they added all these people, because they keep saying that they're doing stuff, but they're not doing it. But yet you can guarantee the Women and Girls Commission is going into them schools, but yet their parents can't pay rent because they got their taxes are so high to fund the Women and Girls Commission. It's like common sense. You know, but you can't everyone can't go out here like, oh, the black youth need this and black youth need that. And then as soon as, you know what I'm saying, it's like, no, we're creating more problems than we're solving. Okay? People just, Cincinnati is so expensive, is it not? Hamilton County is so expensive. We're funding shit that's not benefiting anybody.
I don't disagree with that.
You know, they got like a whole, like AIDS, they got a whole, like, department or something or other just to do a black youth for AIDS because they're at risk for getting AIDS. Like, oh, just the black youth are at risk for getting AIDS. You know what I mean? It's like, it's insane. But take it or leave it. I know you like to argue, but I take this shit serious, and I just do. My son just
you can say that I like to argue, but when you call in here and you say all of the services that Hamilton County has goes to black youth, you're gonna get an argument because yes, you did, and it's not true. So you're gonna get an argument every time that you come in and say some nonsense.
There's a difference between like there's mandated stuff and then there's like policy stuff. The county keeps creating all these commissions and boards and blah, 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 and mental health and blah, 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 blah. The more they throw towards mental health, the more they're driving people crazy. These kids have been driven crazy.
All right.
My other phone's ringing. This seriously, I'm not joshing you. I'm being totally serious.
All right.
I'm being totally serious.
Answer that phone.
All right.
All
bye.
Right. Dante, now you see why it's important to be accurate in terms of what you're saying. Let me say this. What I believe her point was, I actually kind of, I think I might agree. I think her point was there's a lot of people out here fake offering services, but they're really just taking money, pretending to offer services to people. And somebody needs to step in and be oversight because the county is wasting a lot of money with a lot of these nonprofits, and it's not trickling down to the actual people who need the help. That's what I think her point was. But what she said was the only people that the county offers services to are black youth. Now, Dante, do you think I should have just, because I think I knew what she meant, just allowed her to get that off and not challenge it? But yeah, no, you're not going to get that off. The only people who getting services from the county are black youth. Stop it. Stop it. And then you notice when I brought up that last I heard, the majority of people who get services from the county are white, then nobody was getting services. But then she says, it's not about black or white. Then why'd you bring up the only people getting services are black youth? If it's not about black or white, just say people are taking advantage of Hamilton County and money is being wasted and the people who need the services are not getting the services that they need. And I might have agreed with her there. She says they only help 9 veterans. I don't know if that's true. But if that's true, I'd like to know who those 9 veterans were. Were they only black people? The Veterans Services Commission, she said last year, only helped 9 veterans. What was the racial makeup of those veterans? That would lend to her point. Like, for real, if the Veterans Services Commission only helped 9 veterans and they were all black, then I'd be like, oh, Shelly got a point, y'all. The county is only helping black people. But just in my experience in America, in Hamilton County, in Cincinnati, being on this earth, it's not been my experience that if only 9 people are being helped, they black. It's not been my experience. It could be true, but I have a problem believing that. Again, I think her overarching point was, man, they got a whole lot of money, but they only help 9 people. That means it's a whole lot of money being wasted, laundered, or going in somebody's pocket. And that is something that needs to be looked into. Well, why you got to put the black youth on it? Why? Black youth are the scapegoat for everything? That was black youth's fault that money is being wasted in Hamilton County. That's black people, black youth. It's their fault. I can't just sit here. She tried to use reverse psychology on me. I know reverse psychology when I hear reverse psychology. What are you, Virgo and Libra? You just like to argue. I actually am a Virgo and a Libra. And I do like to argue. But the reverse psychology was to get me to shut up and not question what she says. People think that if they say, you just like to argue, I'm going to have to prove that I don't like to argue and shut up. No. I know reverse psychology when I hear it. That was supposed to go like this. What are you, a Virgo or Libra? You just like to argue. Well, I am a Virgo and a Libra, and I don't like to argue. Go ahead and make your point, and I'm not going to ask you any more questions. And then I was supposed to shut my black ass up and just let her say whatever she wanted to say. I don't fall for that stuff. Man, it's almost 7 o'clock. Why y'all keep doing this? Like, y'all know that I have things to do. Plus, the sun's kind of going down. I need to get out in this yard. And then y'all be trying to keep me till like 7. So I got to get ready to get out of here. Janice says, I question the validity of the United Way. Most of these organizations need some oversight. Yes, I agree. Most of these organizations do need some oversight. And again, I'm just kind of hoping that was her point. If that was her point, I agree with the point she was trying to make. But clearly that ain't what she said. Try to reverse psychology me. Oh, all right. For real, I got to get out of here. Everybody stay warm. Keep yourself, stay warm. I'm sorry. Stay cool because it's warm. It ain't warm. It's hot. Stay cool because it's hot. Do your best to stay cool. If you know somebody like, some older people who need fans and things like that, take care of them. Check on your older people that you know of. Make sure that they're okay and that the temperature where they're living and staying, sleeping and moving about is tolerable. Actually comfortable, but if you can't get comfortable, make it tolerable at least. Check on the older people. That's very important. And of course, make sure that you and yours are also good and safe in these really hot conditions. All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And hold on. Did anybody do what I asked y'all to do last week when I was going off? Did anybody call somebody and tell them how much of an influence in their life they've been, or, how they value them and appreciate them? Did anybody do that last week when I asked y'all to do that? I said, take this whole weekend and call somebody and tell them, how much they've influenced you. I just want to know, did anybody do it? Anybody? I know there's a delay, so I'm going to let y'all know that I'm waiting to see if anybody did it. Y'all don't be listening to me when I be telling y'all to do this stuff, or when I don't know that I'm telling you to do it. When I suggest that you do these things, but this stuff just be something, I don't know, that got dropped in my spirit for somebody to do because somebody needs to hear it. And if it touches you, you're the person that's supposed to do it. Nobody did it. Y'all messed up somebody's blessing. Somebody needed to hear that. And y'all just didn't tell them. Okay. When you go to heaven, or when you die, God gonna ask you, remember that time when the King of Talk suggested that you call somebody and tell them how they influenced their life, or how they influenced your life? And he'd be like, yeah, I remember when he did that. And he gonna be like, did you call Sally? Well, I thought about it, but I was a little busy. And I'm not saying you're going to go to hell. Like, he ain't going to necessarily send you to hell. Like, you should have called Sally. Now you're going to hell. But you know what I'm saying? He going to be like, I had a particular room for you, but now you get a smaller room. You should have called Sally. Because it would have only took you a minute or two to say, Sally, I love you and I appreciate you and you inspired me. So you messing up your own room. Okay, I'm going to let it go. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. As always, be the reason. Thank you, Shahira. Shahira says, I'm going to try to do it this week. Thank you, Shahira. Somebody will appreciate it. You're going to make somebody's year. Because I think a lot of us don't understand the influence that we have over people. And sometimes you get wore out and you've been doing such great things and you're like, I don't know that I'm making that much of a difference. And then somebody calling you saying, you inspired me. And that reinvigorates them. And they like, thank you. And they can just keep going. I know I said I'm about to go. But check this out. I remember, Robinson, over the Community Action Agency. What was her first name? Oh, why am I drawing a blank? Mrs. Robinson. I don't remember her first name. Over the Community Action Agency. I was working as a janitor, right? And because I worked as a janitor over there, I'm going to say probably about 6 months. I worked as a janitor. And one of the things that I did was I cleaned her office. And one day I'm in her office and I'm cleaning and she comes in. And, in my mind, she never came in. But I guess she was there late because they had some event going on. And she's like, oh, you startled me, because she just opened up the door and I'm there wiping down the table. And she says, you startled me. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I said, but you know what? Can I say one thing to you? And she was like, I'm in a hurry. I said, just one thing, just real quick. And I don't remember exactly what I said. I said, but, I've kind of watched you and I watched the way that you run this organization. And I just wanted to say, as one black man to a sister, I'm proud of you. It moves me to see you take this organization in the right direction. And if nobody ever tell you or told you or however many people ever told you, I'm very proud and, honored to be here. And she stopped And she looked at me and her eyes kind of welled up. And she was like, you know what? I'm supposed to be down there presenting this speech or whatever, and I didn't know, what to say or what to do. She was like, but thank you so much. I'm good now. I know exactly what I'm going to do. And she was just so appreciative. That was it. That was all she said. And then she looked at me and she said, well, that wasn't it, because then she looked at me and she said, thank you so much. I needed that. And she turned around and walked out. In my mind, whatever speech she was about to give, she killed it. But sometimes people just need to know that somebody appreciates them and what they do. That's why I mean, not that particular incident, but that's why I'll be like, hey, tell somebody that they inspired you or that you appreciate them or something like that. I enjoy stuff like that. I don't get nothing out of it, except for maybe a story to tell eventually. I don't get nothing out of it. But it means so much to the people that you're telling that you appreciate them. So that's why I always suggest stuff like that. All right. When did Tamaya Dinar get released from prison? I don't know. It's been quite a while. Tamaya been out for a while. I feel like it's been well over a year. Yeah. I feel like it's been well over a year. So, yeah, she's been out. She's been out. I'm going to call whoever the Lord lays on my heart. You happy now? Yes, I'm happy now. I'm happy now. And I do have to go. I do have to go. Oh, okay. Is she a part of the community? Yeah. I see her out and about all the time. I see Tamaya out and about all of the time. Yeah. She be laughing at stuff when people be saying bad stuff about me, but that's okay. Sometimes it be funny. Sometimes it don't. And when she be laughing, I be like, you agree with them. They saying bad stuff about me and you agree with them, but I ain't gonna hold it against nobody. She ain't never did nothing to me. She just laughed at other people saying bad stuff about me. So it's all good. All right. Let me get out of here. I done said this now, feel like 6 times. As always, be the reason that somebody smiles today. Till next time, I'm out, y'all. Peace.